Yo, what is good? As always, start the party with some solid JJ. And I missed two because I didn't stream a chill stream. The last one, just more debate. So let's get this going.
In. I heard you collapsed.
I don't get to watch these until you guys get to watch
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I'm doing just fine.
That's not necessarily true, Mr. Luther.
I'm sorry.
We ran some tests, and your blood came positive for cancer.
Lex, I'm so sorry.
Shut up! I've had intimate access to state-of-the-art medical equipment for years. I never had I suspected. What could have possibly given me?
Have you been in contact with any extraterrestrial minerals?
Bruh.
Because our tests also show trace of kryptonite in your bloodstream, which might have contributed to
I'm sorry. Do you find this funny? All right, listen here, Dr.
Patel.
Also,
Dr.
I have
Patel.
cake.
Really? All right, listen here, Dr. Patel. Kryptonite is completely harmless to humans. It only affects Kryptonians.
That's mostly true, yes.
What do you mean mostly?
Mostly.
Well, on its own, it has no adverse effects, that's correct, but over long periods of exposure...
Shut up! We don't know how much kryptonite I've been in contact with.
You've had enough pieces of Krypton to rebuild one of its continents.
Shut up!
Stone from outer space that glows green. You should have. There were probably some red flags. You could have noticed.
All right, what are our next steps? What do we do from here?
Well, like I said, it's very tricky, but if it was just exposure through the skin, there is a chance that we can reverse the process. It was just that, right?
Oh, that's fucking awesome!
Why would you inject yourself with kryptonite?
If I had known, I wouldn't have done it.
Do you think you're gonna bleed on me? Why would that
It was
work?
making me stronger. My veins were practically popping out of my
You
skin.
thought that was a good thing?
Oh, laugh it up. You really find this funny? I'm dying. Superman, I have cancer.
You know, Martian Manhunter's weak to fire. You don't see many villains covering themselves in gasoline and lighting a torch.
This really amuses you, doesn't it?
I'm so sorry for laughing, Lex. I know, but it's just you have to see the irony in
No,
this.
I don't find the slow death of every cell in my body that amusing.
I mean, think about it this way, Lex. Your hatred for me was literally killing you this whole time.
It's certainly one way of looking at it.
Lex, come on. You know I'm not going to let you die.
What do you mean?
I mean, who better an expert to combat radioactive kryptonite poisoning than me? I'm sure, given enough time, we could find a cure.
And why would you do that?
Because it's the right thing to do. And maybe now that you've had a literal taste of your own medicine, you might see things that way yourself.
You know, maybe you're right. My life had almost been cut short just based on my hatred for one man. Is that really worth it? Maybe there is something to what you're saying, Superman. Maybe
No, the
now.
kryptonite isn't what's killing you.
What?
I'm sorry?
I said the kryptonite contributed to his illness. It wasn't necessarily the only reason.
Well, Lex, the sentiment still
Nope,
stands.
get fucked. I'm not doing any of that. All right, yeah. I got regular cancer. All right. Now, what is it, Doc? Tell him. Tell the
Well,
idiot.
it wasn't the kryptonite itself, per se, but might I ask how you were handling such a large quantity of it?
Oh, with the utmost care. I have stashes kept all across the globe, but for my personal safety, I have a safe in my bedroom covered in the densest of metals and lined with lead.
With lead?
Of course, lead.
Lead.
Idiot, Superman can't see through lead. In fact, my entire living quarters is made of lead. Lead infrastructure, lead walls.
Lead paint?
This cancer-ridden video is brought to you by GamerSups, and the flavor of the week is
Oh, that is
Pom
rough.
Punch, because,
All right, one more of these.
Sluther, I'm here to sell things and be evil.
Welcome to the pawn shop. What can I do for you?
Well, Rick, I've got something to sell I think you're gonna love. This is a kryptonite dust beam. It fires radioactive beams of kryptonite energy directly from the nozzle. It's definitely a classic.
Gonna be honest with you though, I don't feel comfortable selling this here in the store.
What? Why?
Well, besides the fact that it's radioactive, if I sell this to someone, I already know what they're gonna do with it.
There's no way to know for sure.
They're gonna try to kill Superman with it.
Come on, you're paranoid.
It's a kryptonite gun.
So what? You sell guns here all the time.
Lex, it's a gun that kills one guy. There's no other reason to buy it.
That's not true.
Why else would you buy
Well,
it?
maybe for self-defense.
Self-defense in case what? Superman breaks in?
It can happen.
Yeah, really.
Well, it's not just him. There's the Superboy, is plural. There's the clones. There's the dog. There's the Superman girl.
You mean Supergirl?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Are you gonna buy it or not?
No, probably not.
Come on, man. We're bald. Yeah, that's the art of the deal.
All right, guys, tell me, what do you got for me?
Come on, don't. Hi, I'm Mephisto. I'm like Satan or something. And today I'm selling Spider-Man's marriage. Fucking bullshit.
All right,
Oh,
you're
that's
gonna need to
filthy.
explain this one for me. Well, a few years ago, I got into a bit of a pickle, and Mephisto here got me out of it. But in exchange, he wanted my marriage.
Yep.
Okay, but how does this work? Is this like the essence of your marriage, a memory? Well, come on, it's got like my picture on it and stuff, you know? Come on. If he's selling it, why are you here?
No, just to laugh at his
To
misfortune.
be fair to him, that's kind of how I've been able to get work recently.
Uh-huh.
All right, so what were you hoping to get for it?
I was thinking in the ballpark of 20 to 25 years of character assassination.
How about 15 with a few hit-or-miss stories in between?
12 and some other dude fucks his wife.
11 years, some dude fucks his wife, and we do a random Superman crossover a few years down the line. Final offer. Wait, holy shit, you can get me in touch with DC? Well, it's more like a mutual agreement.
put me in, Coach. Come on, name your price. What do you want? My relationship with Gwen Stacy? It didn't last long, but they've been milking that shit dry. Again?
Shit. How is this profitable?
Rick of Earth,
Yes?
I would like to sell my most treasured possession. Haggle with me, Rick of Earth.
Okay, well, the first thing I noticed is that it looks pretty new.
No, it isn't.
Well, it looks pretty recent.
No, it is older than most suns and probably older than your
I'm
world.
pretty sure I've seen those on shelves at the Target next door.
I've never been to the Target next
It's
door.
not even assembled. It's still in the box.
The pieces were too small and my hands are too big.
Well, what did you expect?
Do you know how many pieces of Lego are in that box? Guess. Really guess.
I don't know, like 2,000?
Well, not that many, but damn it, now if I say it, I sound dumb.
Yeah, I don't think I'm buying
You know
this.
what, Rick?
Yeah, what?
You know, I saw you buy Elvis's fucking cum rag an hour ago. Like, this
Yeah.
is bullshit.
All right, fuck you. Get out of my store.
Fuck you.
Fuck me. You broke my fucking
I'm
roof.
gonna eat your
Oh,
dog.
no, don't even
I'll
sell
do
it.
it.
This video is brought to you by GamerSups, and the flavor of the week is blue, and you have
All
to
right, now,
pay
while we wait
10%
for that
off.
Zephyr
That's the
guy
best we'll
who's
do.
just shown up.
10% off. If you do any more than 10% off, I'll fucking kill you. No, I won't.
Bring 'em
I'm
on
sorry,
in
dude.
here.
There's like a darkness inside me. I don't know why I let that out. I'm so
What up, Zeke?
Yellow.
I was just about to play that Rashad Crenshaw video about the ceasefire not even lasting one day. I believe it was 15 hours in total. While I break out
What
my
about
cake. Oh, the ceasefire with Iran.
yeah? But what about Rashad Crenshaw?
Oh, he did a video about it.
Oh, everybody did. It's like
So
This is
yesterday,
titled "The Ceasefire Didn't Even Last a Day."
that is what is gonna happen.
But I feel bad for him because bald does not work for this dude.
Yeah, he used to wear a do-rag.
I can
Decided
see
to
why.
do away with it.
I can see why. Not hating on him or
You
anything,
wanna-
but you know, bald doesn't really work for everyone.
I think it's a bit of an acquired taste. Like I've seen most of his videos recently, and he's been bald, so I'm kind of used to it.
Oh, I grew on you.
Yeah.
I want to get straight into this Professor Jiang video because it is almost an hour long, and if we got time afterwards, we can hit that one too. While we're at it, because it feeds directly into this.
Oh, okay.
All right, let me know when you are ready, and I will start the bunker buster.
I am watching stream.
And I know there will be pauses because this is. I'm gonna need you to brace yourself. Make sure you're sitting down. Make sure you have, adequate hydration. Maybe some calories
I'm
to intake.
I'm drinking a beer that is only served for 2 weeks in the whole year, so I think I'm ready.
All right. As long as we're ready, let's do it.
About an hour ago, Donald Trump addressed the American people. This follows an address from Prime Minister Albanese of Australia to his people, as well as Prime Minister Starmer to the British people. And in both speeches by Starmer and Albanese, they said to the people, we know that fuel prices, gas prices are going up, and we should expect more pain, but we will do as much as we can to ensure that your wallet is not too impacted. Donald Trump, in his address to the American people, basically said that this war will continue, and America may start to bomb energy.
I gotta ask why he has Fox News up. Is Fox News the only one hosting this?
I was gonna point out the whole setup. It's a really weird setup.
The whole setup's kind of unhinged.
Yeah, I mean, I like the color coordination, to be honest. It's like very sort of green themed. He's got that going for him. Hey, this man understands color coordination if he does all his videos like this and
yeah.
wears a green t-shirt.
That's how an op works. You gotta coordinate it. All right, run it in.
And oil infrastructure of Iran. Okay, so let's listen to a few of his words.
Is he just like a YouTube teacher now?
So there's some speculation on this. Some people say there's nobody in the classroom. Some people say they've heard some people in the classroom. I think he's an op, just being real. Like, I think he is like a CIA operation being used against the American people. But
what does the C stand for? China or?
That sure is what it feels like. I mean, everybody has some speculation on who he's an op for. I feel like he is counterintelligence, and it's really weird.
I do believe he's one of those kind of like a new wave propagandist, but I'm not quite sure what his angle is because he seems pretty anti-Trump. But
not once you watch this.
Oh, okay. Hey, I predicted last time we watched this shit. I predicted I'll give it 2 months. I think it's been 1.5 months. I told you I'll give it 2 months before he turns into like a pro-Trump conspiracy theorist. It's been 1.5 months since then. So
we're talking about Professor Jiang, Razor. Good to see you. So let's get back to this nonsense.
The day, and it will soon be roaring back like never before. It will top the levels that it was a month ago. I've made clear from the beginning of Operation Epic Fury that we will continue until our objectives are fully achieved. Thanks to the progress we've made, I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Under this stupid fuck, we've completed our military objectives in the whole world every day for the past 1.5 years. And every day he comes up with new objectives to fulfill.
Can I ask you a
question?
question?
Are we completing those objectives and there's always new objectives? Or is it that none of the objectives actually get completed?
Well, the question I have to ask you is, are you tired of winning yet?
So tired.
God, I don't want to hear
if this is winning, I can only imagine what losing looks like.
Now, this whole thing isn't necessarily Trump, Razor. It's about well, he's not on the screen at the moment, but it's the professor that does the game theory regarding Trump's actions. So bear with us while we get through this very stupid speech.
We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
Okay, so he's basically saying that we're winning this war and we will bomb them to the Stone Ages. which tells us he's actually not winning this war. Okay. Now, I also want to look at another.
Wait, hang on, pause. How I don't connect the two dots. Like, how is bombing them to Stone Ages them not winning the war? Like, I can understand from a point of view is that if you have to bomb them so severely, why do you have to take such severe action? Like, that means you're failing in your negotiation. But that means, well, yeah, you failed in your negotiation. That's what caused the start of the war. I'm assuming.
Yeah, him, Razor. Exactly. Now you're catching on. It's the idea that there's been no clear objective set. There's been no rationale. There's been no like actual goal for negotiations. So him bombing them and them crumbling as a country is one considered win condition. Another is actually getting the negotiations to be successful and the straight opening up and possibly regime change in Iran. And then the third possible endpoint would be ... America loses.
What is the point? Like, when do you consider a regime change completed? Like, okay, they kidnapped Maduro. I guess that means there was a regime change because Maduro did not have like a structured government or like loyalists, I guess, to the extent that the IRGC has. So removing Maduro kind of removes the head of the snake. But Iran is like, okay, there's no end to the snake. Like, you can keep chopping off its bits, but when do you know that the regime change has been completed? Which, again, I know which relates to your point, which is like there is no clear objective. But yeah, I still don't see how that means either America is losing the war or Iran is losing the war in that case.
So this particular administration has no idea how to run a regime change or even like, and this is what makes this video so interesting. You're going to hear it. Just when you're ready, you're going to hear it. I haven't watched the whole thing.
Maybe
I think
I'm jumping ahead. So.
I think I watched maybe 10 minutes of it before I was like, I need Zephyr to watch this with me.
Okay.
Person who is Peter Hegseth.
New strategic map.
So remember, this war in Iran, it's not ending. In fact, many people believe it's only starting to ramp up. So there are rumors that Donald Trump has already authorized the use of ground forces. And so we could see an invasion of Iran as early as this weekend, but certainly, definitely this month, okay? But while America is fighting this war in Iran, this is the Secretary of War, Peter Hegseth, and he's announced that America will control all North America.
Do I need to run that back? Did you hear that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. It is weird. Like I was kind of computing.
But certainly, definitely this month, okay? But while America is fighting this war in Iran, this is the Secretary of War, Peter Hegseth, and he's announced that America will control all North America.
You heard it that time, right?
Okay, was that like a slip of the tongue, or
no?
I guess I need to hear Peter Hegseth say it.
But it's the fact that this dude is also parroting it, and the base idea, like I want to say, was a few days after this video dropped. Trump basically said they're not going to try to annex Canada based on X and Y. So already his prediction is dog water and what he's going to put forward.
Oh, sorry. I thought he was saying that Peter Hegseth is going to say that America is going to control all of North America.
I believe he already said it, but let's run it back one more time, just for clarity's sake.
I thought that's what he said that Peter Hegseth is going to say in this video or something.
As early as this weekend, but certainly, definitely this month, okay? But while America is fighting this war in Iran, this is the Secretary of War, Peter Hegseth, and he's announced that America will control all North America.
Yeah, so he's saying that Hegseth is about to say
From
that.
Greenland to the Gulf of America to the Panama Canal and its surrounding countries. At the Department of War, we call this strategic map the Greater North America. Why? Because every sovereign nation and territory north of the equator, from Greenland to Ecuador and from Alaska to Guyana, is not part of the global south. It is a security perimeter in this great neighborhood that we all live in.
Okay? So basically, what he's saying is we will enforce the Monroe Doctrine in North America. So it sounds very strange to people in that Donald Trump is fighting this war in Iran that's not really winnable. At the same time, he is being aggressive in North America. He's seeking fights with Canada, with Denmark over Greenland, with Colombia, with Mexico, with Cuba. In fact, he's embargoing Cuba right now, and people expect possibly an invasion of Cuba very soon. So people just think that Donald Trump is all over the place and he's idiotic, okay? So this is Iran.
Did you hear that ramping up? People think
Yep.
he's all over the place and he's idiotic. Let's hear
But-
more.
Let's hear the but.
And everyone says that a ground invasion of Iran would be stupid because it is much too
bro got
large to
techno.
invade. Right now, America has only about 50,000 troops in the Middle East. And the geography, the terrain, makes it very hard to control. Okay? So you have these mountains, the Zagros Mountains, which allows for the Iranians to hide and conduct guerrilla warfare and use drone strikes and artillery strikes. And then you have the desert, which makes it very hard to cross, okay? So even if the Americans were to attack from here, from Iraq, they would have to face the mountains. If they were attacked from
That's not
Pakistan,
Iraq.
from the east, they would have to face deserts, okay? And if they were to attack from the south, they would face all these mountains. And also you're far away from Tehran, which is
Okay,
ultimately
pause,
your
pause.
objective.
He has oriented the map in a very weird way because Iran, like, it can look like that from certain angles, but that is not what Iran looks like if you're looking at like top. So what he's saying south is technically still attacking from the west, but he has oriented Iran this such a way so that the mountains is covering both the south and the west. So it's I don't know, just something that like strikes me, but
Yeah, no, it suits what he's trying to get across in this moment.
yeah, it's not like a true, like, again, I don't want to come across as, oh, America can really easily enter Iran and conquer the whole territory. Like, obviously it's going to be difficult, but not in the way that he's saying it.
No. So back to this.
Objective. Okay, so there's lots of conversations about what the Americans are trying to do. Right now, the consensus seems to be the Americans first want to control the Strait of Hormuz in order to elevate the strain on the global economy, okay? But as you can see from this map, first of all, the strait, it's not very wide, and it's very close to the Iranian coastline in the mountains, so it's easy to attack from. And there are these, and then the Iranians can put mines all around the strait as well. So what everyone tells us is that an invasion of Iran would just be idiotic. But at the same time,
pause.
the Americans need.
So Strait of Hormuz is like 30 miles wide, which, like, in the global scale, it's like really narrow. And yes, Iran does have a lot of control over it. It's really weird to me why he says, if you look at this map, when the map can be scaled, he, it's already giving a lot of, a lot of ideas of, like, I can make the data say whatever I want it to say. Right? Like, you can zoom out in a particular portion. You can be like, oh, Strait of Hormuz is so narrow, which, to be fair, it is narrow in a military scale, but
And real scale is huge.
Yeah, in real scale, it's like 30 miles, dude. It'll take any person like 3 days to cross it on foot.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, again, just it's one of those things that he's playing upon people's sort of visual memory, preying upon people's just sort of biases and things like that to get across a point that he wants to get out. It's not related to like actual facts and things like that. So
I promise you, it gets worse.
well,
But yeah, him showing the choke point, like in that little bottom right window there, doesn't even begin to explain like what the strategy would have to be for this, and the fact that America isn't just taking the strait being as small as it is should tell you that it's not as easy as it's being played out to be. I'm actually get close to his route and
Ancom put Ancom put that message that we were discussing. I don't know if Ancom was there at the time when we were talking about it, but essentially we already discussed that he's angled it so that the mountains cover both the south and the west. So it's like he wants to say, "Oh, there's no easy entry point into Iran." And it's like, okay, yes, Iran is a huge country and it's really hostile and harsh and things like that, but it's not harsh in the way that he's trying to say. Okay, he was listening. Okay.
And also, Ancom, you're welcome to come in as well. Like, we can all sit here and pick this thing apart because it gets crazier. No, it is very, like, I got what Zephyr was saying, but like you showing that it's a skewed down looking northwest, and the perspective is definitely not what most people would have. The fact that he's using this perspective lets you know there's some ulterior motive.
Can I also say that Iran probably is like the blobbiest country of any country in terms of like just the map? It's a very weirdly shaped country. Like, I understand countries are shaped by geography and ethnicities and weird borders and shit like that, but
Iran's being
Iran
attacked,
for some
you're
reason
gonna
has a
body
very
shame him too?
Hey, someone had to say it, okay? It has all these friends around it that keep hyping it up, say that it's 10 out of 10. Someone had to like bring it down, you know?
And he's even got the, little land masses in the top right corner. Iran versus Afghanistan, the scale.
Yeah, Iran is like what I want to say 2.5 to 3 times the size of Afghanistan.
I would say. Yeah, 1.6 miles square kilometers to 0.65 miles square kilometers.
All right.
Interesting.
To free up the Strait of Hormuz and allow for maritime navigation in order to stabilize the global economy. Okay. Already we're seeing lots of signs that America is preparing for a long, long war. So there are already 50,000 troops in the Middle East, and a lot of them will be deployed against Iran. But also there's a letter from Leonard Anderson to reserves, telling them we must get ready to deploy, fight, and win. Okay? So not only have they sent 50,000 troops to the Middle East, but they're preparing to call up the reserves as well. Okay? So this seems as though America is preparing for total war. Party market is a very interesting place to understand how global events will turn out, okay? And so there are 3 indicators that, in fact, a war is coming, a ground invasion is coming. First of all, the pizza index is exploding. What does this mean? It means that in the Pentagon, when they're preparing to launch a ground invasion, they need to work overtime. And so they call for pizza, okay? And so pizza deliveries are going up. Gay bars are empty. Okay, so when people are, don't have much to do, they go and, go on dates. The last is that people are making bets, large bets, that a ground invasion will happen, okay? So these are people who have inside information, and so they go on Poly Market and make a bet that this will happen, knowing it will happen. So this guy bet $200,000 that a ground invasion will happen, and if it turns out a ground invasion does happen, he will win over $1 million. Okay, so these are 3 very good indicators that a ground invasion has been approved and it will happen very, very soon.
I don't understand the
Donald Trump
model of Polymarket. Like, who's paying out the 800K?
Well, everybody pays into the pool of the poly market. I'm guessing there's some bank or some entity that is leveraged on in poly market, so they take the money from the pot and then they pay out. But when
That
there's
makes
so
it
much
worse.
money, I don't see how it happens.
So if, let's say, if there is like a bank or some kind of a committee that's like paying out these bets, how the fuck don't they have regulations in place to make sure that there's no insider trading? There's obviously the insider traders are going to win everything, and everybody's going to bet along with the insider traders. Like
That,
right now, if there's an insider trading going on, betting 200K on a ground invasion, obviously I'm going to bet towards that.
yeah, that's exactly
How
what
does
I'm
that not?
wondering.
Yeah. So what is like? Unless there's like 800K betting against it, how the hell does the 200K turn into a million? It
That's what I
seems,
don't
and
understand. I
I'm
don't see
kind of,
why poly
yeah.
market still exists when there's this kind of insider betting going on.
All right, that was a tangent, but
No, no, no. I'm there with you. Like when he said that, I'm like, how is poly market even covering these bets?
yeah, and like that's like a basic rule of having like a casino or any sort of betting place is that I don't want someone who's rigged the system. Because obviously they're gonna win.
So poly market has no incentive to care. They take a cut of every pot, regardless of how every bet goes. They just do an automatic calculation.
They're paying out $1 million on a 200,000 bet. Where's that million coming from? Where's that 800K coming from?
That's honestly what I'm wondering, but I'm sure Ancom may be able to elucidate on that.
Like, yeah, I understand that. Okay, they take like a 10% cut, right? Like instead of $1 million, they'll only pay out 900K. That's still like 700K that they need to procure from somewhere, unless there are like actual R words. I'm not gonna say the slur on Twitch, but unless there are actual R words who are betting against insider traders, like how are they getting 700K from?
And that's exactly what we're questioning, Ancom. Are there enough people betting no to cover the amount of winnings that are coming out of the S's? I guess, like, for the other bets that are going on, they use those bets to cover this, but I don't know.
Right, that is just like tangential. Let's get to the central. We can probably think about poly market after this video.
Yeah. It's literally just calculating based on how many bet yes versus no, just like a horse race. The bet calculations are automatic based on what bets happened so far. Those odds are constantly updated.
So if they're constantly up, it's a tangent. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, we could get into this. Like, we could have a whole conversation just on poly market.
Yeah, it's not even a debate. It's kind of just like an understanding. I need to understand how this works. But again, that's like tangential. So
yeah, and then maybe Ancom will come in and fill us in on some of it. But this continues to get wilder and wilder. We got through the pizza index. Now an unhinged
pizza index is like, I like the pizza index as a as a concept.
No, this is going to lead us down another tangent. I'm just going to keep moving forward.
Has said many, many things, okay? So he said that, you know what? If we leave the Middle East, it's not a problem. We don't really care, okay? And he also says that, hey, NATO, it's your responsibility to open the Strait of Hormuz because we told you so and because you need the oil. And of course, NATO is angry at Donald Trump because previously, Donald Trump threatened to take over Greenland. Okay, so everyone thinks Donald Trump is just a moron. He doesn't plan ahead. Because before this war in Iran, where he needs the help of NATO, he was pissing off NATO by threatening to take over Greenland. So Donald Trump is over the place. He's just a moron, right? But let's just assume, okay, that the ground invasion goes ahead. What will happen? Well, as I predicted before, if a ground invasion were to go ahead, first of all, America would lose this war because a ground invasion would fail, and the Iranians are fully prepared for a ground invasion. Second of all, if America loses war, the American empire would die because we'd be forced out of the Middle East. They would lose the petrodollar and the US dollar as a global reserve currency. And the third thing is the global economy would collapse. So clearly, Donald Trump is the worst president in human history. And he's a complete buffoon, right? Okay.
Oh, is he building? Oh my god.
But let's put our thinking caps on.
Oh my
okay, let's use game theory.
See, so I told you I told you I got about 10 minutes into this before I was like, nope.
Oh my god.
Let's put our thinking caps on.
Why can't he stop the video right there? Like he spoke a truth. Just stop it right there. Now he has to game theory everything. Bro. Oh my god.
It's so bad.
He's gonna try and justify. He's gonna become fucking Ryan Mullally for the next 30 minutes.
Oh
god.
All right, brace yourself. Let's put our thinking caps on, see what we get.
My beer's already half gone. I
Insane.
should have saved it.
Right.
But what if, for some strange reason, Donald Trump wants to lose this war in Iran? What if he wants the American empire to collapse? What if Donald Trump wants to destroy the global economy? And then he'd be a genius, right?
Why? What?
Right?
What?
Go ahead.
What? How would someone who would call someone who destroyed the global economy a genius? First of all, second of all, he assumes that there's a method to this madness, and it's not just some kind of self-aggrandizing action that he's doing on behalf of the evangelicals in his in a sort of loyalist troop that are convincing him to protect Israel at all costs and go along with whatever they say. And why is destroying the quote unquote American empire a genius move? Or what? Wait, I'm lost. Is that genius or is that not genius? Who the fuck is calling it genius? Why is that? Who the fuck is calling that good?
And also, you got a cheers from Gam Gamma 5, so we're winning.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's hear where he goes with this. This is so unhinged.
Okay.
He's a moron because he's going to destroy the American empire. But if he actually wants to destroy the American empire, then the man is the greatest American president ever, okay? Okay, so we're going to have a fun class today. And we're going to
Okay, wait, pause. If you set out to achieve a really difficult goal and you achieve it, okay, I'll give you that you're ambitious. I'll give you that you're driven. I'll give you all those things. But if the goal itself is hurting a lot of people, I would not call that good or positive in any context of the word. I would, at very best, I guess he's an evil genius. I would say that at the very best. But I know for a fact Trump is not a genius. So I cannot use that word.
Evil or otherwise.
Yeah.
But he may very well be playing a game of chess that is about 19 levels high. Right? So my tractor
it's one of those things. It's like you want to go around 19 levels. Instead of going 20 levels that way, why don't you just go one level the opposite way and call him an arsler?
Because that's not where the money's at, I guess.
Okay. It's not even okay. I knew kind of what he was about to say, but the way he says it still makes it like so weird.
So unhinged.
Exactly.
And this dude's like, when I was already gonna watch this video with you, he's already put out like 6 more videos.
Oh, dear Lord.
Trying to keep up with this nonsense is not something I'm trying to do. But this one in particular, the conclusions he comes to in the first 10 minutes.
The problem is that, like, obviously these propagandists, they delete all the negative comments. after all of that, it's like their videos reach more people. It's like his angle, at least for me, like I haven't seen the whole video. I know he's probably gonna get pro Trump, whatever. But his angle has been coming from like the liberal left point of view, because he's, at least early on, he was against Trump, or he was leaning against Trump. So he captured like the left leaning audience, which are generally in the modern time more informed than the conservatives. So he's looking at the uninformed left, right, who go along with what like people like Hassan say, right? He captures them, and now he's turning them like pro Trump, I guess, is what the angle is. But it's moving way too fast, so I don't think it'll land. I hope even the Hassan followers realize that no, this guy's an actual idiot.
Well, a buddy of mine says, like, basically, Trump will more than likely go full axis of evil and join up with Russia, probably against China. But I don't know. And either way, this is dumb.
I'm not against America and Russia joining forces, because in the past, good things have come out whenever America and Russia have joined forces. So I'm not gonna, on the face of it, be against it. But yes, it's Russia who will have to change their ways and become less fascistic and more democratic, rather than America going Russia's way.
Yeah, Ancom says he's appealing to accelerationists on both left and right, which makes sense.
I agree
Jack
with that.
says he's
Yeah.
a left-wing version of Jordan Peterson with deepities and myth, and yeah, I'm not going to argue. That is pretty much what we're looking at.
Dude, he says like Illuminati and fucking Freemasons and all of that shit in his quote unquote lectures now. What the fuck, dude?
This is bonkers. And you're probably right, Nair.
Fact, Donald Trump is a genius. That in fact, all this chaos is purposeful. That there's actually a plan behind all this, okay? That's the argument I want to make to you today. Okay, so what is the plan? What is going on here? All right, so first thing to notice is that the world gets 20%, okay? 20%
of its oil from the Middle East.
Of its
He's going to remove all the yellow lines
from
and only keep the red
the
ones.
Middle East.
Like, this map is everywhere.
This is an extremely confusing map, yes. Oil origin.
And this map is everywhere. The red is the oil from the Middle East, and then everything else is oil from everywhere else. So he's going to remove everything else and keep the red lines. I'm assuming. If he doesn't do that, then basically he's like, he's doing the thing that he's not doing the easy thing, because this map is literally everywhere.
Moon says he's seen the professor on many podcasts. His genuine political belief is that the Illuminati plans everything.
Yeah. Yep. Everything goes to the Jesuits, the Illuminati, and the Freemasons. He thinks that these three organizations are running the world.
Yet has nothing to show for any of it. But let's see where he goes with
this. Okay, primarily going to East Asia. So India gets about 6% of its oil from the Middle East. Japan gets 75% of its oil from the Middle East. So East Asia is heavily dependent on Middle East oil, okay? But as you can see, it also goes to Europe as well, and then also to the United States. All right, so the world is dependent on the GCC oil. If this war continues, if ground forces are used, then all the oil from the Middle East collapses. And JP Morgan has come out and said that by mid-April, the world will run out of oil. Okay? So this is a disaster for...
I have no clue what dots he's connecting. Like, yes, JP Morgan has said that, or it's not even JP Morgan, it's a fact that the last oil tanker that's heading towards America is going to land on American shores on April 15th. And after that, there is no oil. Now, maybe the ceasefire that has not lasted even a day might have helped, but we shall see. Like, after April 15th, essentially, the world is rationing Middle Eastern oil.
Okay, so even if that's true, what does it mean for the outcome?
Yeah, I have no clue what he's leaning because he has put two dots that are so far away. Like one is in the field of economics, one is in the field of logistics. One is like, okay, East Asia gets 6% of its oil from Iran, and then he's trying to connect all of those to show that Trump is a genius. Like, I'm genuinely curious if there's any logical conclusion that leads to Trump being a genius that doesn't involve like Iran basically collapsing overnight.
Here we go.
The world. But it's not. It's just much more than energy needs. Okay. So because Iran is constraining movement in the Strait of Hormuz, we're seeing 7 major shortages. Okay. So yes, we know oil and LNG are being stopped. Okay. But actually, the problem is much worse because look at phosphate, ammonium, sulfur, urea. This is food production, okay? Primarily used for fertilizers. In other words, if this war persists, not only will countries run out of energy, they'll also run out of food, okay? Also, look at this. Helium and sulfur are used for what? They're used for semiconductors, the production of semiconductors. You use
sulfur,
helium, and sulfur.
You need more than that for semiconductors.
I mean, okay, you need helium for like a lot of coolants, like helium cooling, and like a lot of sort of welding and shit like that happens in an inert environment for which helium is useful. But sulfur, I mean, I can't see it being used. It's usually boron or gallium or something like that is used for doping. I can kind of see sulfur, but really, there's like a lot of other elements that can replace sulfur.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure you can.
But again, I'm not. Yeah, sorry.
You can get sulfur
Go
from
ahead.
like multiple other places as well. Like there are places full of.
Yeah,
sulfur.
go to fucking Hawaii. There's a fucking volcano there.
That's where I was at with it. Just go to Hawaii.
I'm joking.
I'm
joking. It's probably not as easy, but like, yeah, sulfur is not like a very restricted material, right? Like,
no.
At least that's not the impression I've got in my lifetime. I feel like sulfur is pretty like more widely available resource than oil or helium is. Yeah, again, so for Jack, I'm not arguing that sulfur isn't used. My question is how important is sulfur versus other doping materials and things like that? Like, is sulfur replaceable? I'm not an expert. Maybe you are, so you know that, and I will divert.
It is the 10th most abundant element in the universe and the 5th most common on Earth. Both are found in pure form and as a mineral compound like sulfide and sulfate. So yeah, it's not that hard to get a hold of.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let's even ignore sulfur, right? There's still 5 of the materials, which, yes, for some reason we continue to persist with fucking oil and shit like that when, at least for energy, we can use renewables. We can invest in green technology and find out new sort of green fertilizers instead of using urea and phosphate and things like that. But nope, they're all cut. And now we were fighting war with a country that provides a significant portion of those things. But apparently he's an evil genius. But apparently he's just a genius, dude. Like, so make it make sense, right? Yeah.
We're working on it. He says it comes from the Hormuz Strait. I'm done. It's about the processing. Oh, fair enough, Moon.
In the production of semiconductors, which leads to AI, okay? So, in other words, this war in the Middle East, it's impacting everything in the modern economy. Okay? If this war continues, the global economy could collapse. But again, we're making the assumption that Donald Trump is a genius, and this is all part of his big plan. Okay? So what is his plan?
He's steel manning MAGA.
All right.
Okay, Letty? It's not that bad. He's just steel manning MAGA.
We know that there's a lot of oil in the
like just the idea that he's trying to theory craft what could actually be at play while being, for the most part, wrong. There's no making this make sense. If I tell you 35 plus 35 equals.
I bet this is equal to.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So
I can only hope that he's like, let's work under the assumption that Donald Trump is a genius, right? And see where that leads us. And in the end, it still doesn't lead us anywhere. And then he says, see, it's still idiotic. I can only hope that he goes in that direction and be like, yeah, it was a stupid idea from the beginning. Even if Donald Trump is a genius, it still doesn't make sense.
yeah, just hypotheticaling this out falls apart within less than a week of it being thrown up on YouTube. But here we are.
The Middle East, okay? But oil is not as rare as people think it is. There's also a lot of oil in Canada. Venezuela.
Not even do nothing, Moon. It's break everything when.
World's largest oil reserves, okay? Russia also has a lot of oil. So in other words, if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, if this war in the GCC continues, it doesn't mean the world no longer has oil. All it means is the world is now much more dependent on North America and.
Yes, Nair. Canada has way more in oil reserves than we do. Like, I think 3 to 5 times more. Hey, what's up, Jimmy? Good to see you.
But Canadians, I don't know how willing Canadians are to tap into that oil and like destroy their forests and shit like that. Which, again, the temptation of money will kind of. All they need is like the perfect culmination of events, and they'll force in or they'll vote in a government that is willing to cut down all the forests and destroy Canada's natural beauty for oil. So things can change. I hope, but at the moment, I think Canada generally wants to preserve its forests and things like that.
Yeah, so Canada has approximately 163 to 171 barrels of proven oil reserves versus the U.S. having 413 to 415 million barrels of crude in its reserve. So they have way more oil than we do. Whether or not they're willing to tap into it is a whole nother deal. But us trying to get it is exactly what a lot of this theory crafting goes around.
So is he saying that? Wait, let me kind of see. So he's saying that he's going to cut off oil from the Middle East and then attack Canada. He already has secured Venezuela. So now the world is going to be dependent on North American oil.
You're catching on, Z. That's exactly
That's his angle.
This fell apart in less than a week. Oh, he was arrested back in 2001? So I talked with Wiggle about it, and Wiggle is saying he's an American operative that's doing counterintelligence against the American people. A lot of us think he's an agent for China. Like, who knows? The one thing we know for sure is this dude is an op. I had a feeling you'd say that. But the one thing is true. He is working for someone. He is doing this for a reason.
It's like I don't know what to say, because I feel like this guy is jumping around everywhere, right? I haven't seen all of his content, but I genuinely got the impression that he's kind of like conspiracy theorist propagandist, like Jack said, right? Like a Jordan Peterson from the left. But now he's becoming pro-Trump. Like,
he's at least like trying to make whatever Trump is doing
famous
plausible.
for making the prediction that America will lose the war against Iran. And now he got famous because of that. And the first sort of wave of content that comes after it is showing that Donald Trump is a genius because he will quote unquote lose the war against Iran or something. How does losing the war against Iran help North America?
All I can say is make it make sense, but basically, he's a Richard Doty of geopolitics instead of aliens. Like, I feel like he's trying, like, the hypothetical allows for a stronger America in the end, and the superpowers of the world, like, basically cordoning off different portions of the planet and holding them. But I don't know for sure.
You know, again, it might be a tangent, but the problem is that Europe is involved in the West. So he essentially wants to break Canada off from NATO, make it part of the North American alliance after treating Canada so poorly, both by canceling the USMCA, things like that, implementing tariffs, literally straight up saying that we will go to war with Canada and Greenland. And now he wants Canada to bring Canada into the fold. Like, how the fuck does that work? Does he think like Canada is like an abused wife or something? That he treats them so badly and then he says one good thing and they're gonna come back to him?
No,
Does he think Canada is Melania Trump?
I assume he expects that America is going to take Canada by force if negotiations weren't possible.
Bro couldn't conquer fucking Iran. How the fuck does he think he'll conquer Canada? I understand 10% of like 90% of Canada's population is towards, like, it's pretty much on the border with the United States. Canada is fucking huge, dude.
Canada isn't an abuse wife. A little bit, but not to the point where the Canadian people are going to just hop right back on board to whatever America is trying to do. We've already pissed them off well beyond any point of actual negotiation. Canada having the oil we need is dangerous for Canada.
So his genius move, quote unquote, relies on Canada essentially being chumps.
But we gonna see.
If Canada doesn't essentially fold to the US, like, an evil genius? Is that the entire hinge of the argument?
Jack says, in fairness, Canada doesn't have a million-man standing army full of theocratic zealots, so kind of comparing apples to suspension bridges. Fair enough. What I'm thinking is he's putting the greater Israel idea to the greater North America deal.
Also, I want to say, fucking Washington, Illinois, Michigan, these are like blue states on the border. Is New York on the border? New York's all the border. It's like borders the lakes, right?
Yeah.
Maine is like leaning blue. These countries are gonna let Canada invade. These states are gonna let Canada, the Canadian Army, invade the U.S. as the U.S. is invading Canada. So they're gonna be like, "Yeah, come on in, New York. I'm gonna give you a path through New York, through Pennsylvania, into Maryland, right into Washington D.C. Come on in."
Thank you for the raid, Justin. Appreciate it. Welcome, Raiders. We are watching The Gaslighting of America by Professor Jiang and seeing what 12D chess Dear Leader is doing at the moment and laughing at it. Much appreciated.
Right, I was going on like wild tangents there, so.
Yeah. Hey, we got a raid. We got to show some love. And got to give my dude a shout out. Give my dude a shout out, and back to the gaslighting we have subjected ourselves to.
Russia for oil. And so the global economy now shifts over to North America and to Russia. Okay? So in other words, the United States starts a stupid war in the GCC in the Middle East. It can't possibly win, but it still benefits. Because now the world is much more dependent on North America.
See?
Okay?
See?
Why is Venezuela important? Because America just took over Venezuela in January. Okay? And look, Canada has a lot of oil.
Wait a minute, but did we really take over Venezuela?
Dude, it's so retarded. Okay, I'm not even getting into Venezuela. Like, Canada hasn't tapped into its oil reserves. It's going to take a year or year and a half to 2 years to even build the infrastructure to get the Canadian oil from the reserves to the ports. Then you need all the shipping lanes to go along with it. Right? And then in the winters, you cannot work in Canada. So, yes, I know Donald Trump is pro global warming, but global warming literally is not as fast as Trump wants it to be. So, yes, in the winters, there's going to be part of the reserves that are going to get shut down. There's going to be ports that are going to get shut down.
So you're seeing what I'm saying here. None of this makes sense.
Hey, but in Jiang's world,
like I said, Jack was right.
You gotta suspend reality in Jiang's world to, instead of he's like 13D chess, but when you come back to reality, it's like, no, it's literally chess and we are losing.
It's basically checkers with half of our pieces already gone. But yeah, that's about what it is. And see, he's equating it to Russia while he's doing it and saying, like, we're going to take over the entire North American area as well as the Venezuela thing going on. None of that is concrete. It has to get worse from here. This video can't get any better. You guys just don't see what Trump is doing. We're trying to see the vision, Nair. We're trying.
And Trump is threatening to take over Canada. Okay?
So look on his face.
He left his mouth open like a
now let's listen at who needs the oil. Well,
we need a new map, fresh map.
Tells you that if you're in the red, you consume more oil than you export. And who are these countries? Well, they're Europe, okay? And they are East Asia.
To write
as well as Australia.
As if people, he's making it for Americans because Americans don't know what East Asia and Europe are.
He leaves Africa entirely out of the equation.
Oh, fuck, dude.
How does this work? Oh, this is brilliant. Just when you think it can't get dumber, he pulls out another map. He already lives in Canada. Maybe he's hoping, maybe he's trying to pitch it to Trump and his crew. I don't know.
And Donald Trump's an idiot. Yes, I understand that he's going to lose this war in the Middle East. Yes, I understand he's going to destroy the global economy.
Yeah, I still don't get how losing the war, how is that the first step? Like, does he think that, Iran's going to leave the Strait of Hormuz blocked? Like, what happens when China and India come calling and say that, hey, open the Strait of Hormuz, but only for us?
Because they'll do it.
Yeah, like, China is a huge backer of Iran. India is a huge economy, right? Mm-hmm. If anything, he's probably going to force Europe to, make deals with Iran instead of Europe helping Canada and USA. After all this bullshit, does he really think that Europe's going to make a deal with Trump after he's invaded Canada?
Hell no.
Does he think that Europe is going to work?
So as far as I understand,
with Canada, with Trump, where the setup is already there, where what's that island? There's this important strategic island, right? Like in the Persian Gulf or whatever. But they have the infrastructure. They don't have to invest anything. They don't have to create the pipelines. They can literally go to Iran. They say, fuck USA, fuck Canada. We are going to Iran, right? They have the infrastructure. We're just going to buy oil from them.
Yeah, Moon gets a pinned comment for that. That is beautiful. So, from what I'm hearing, they're already allowing, Russian ships and other ships to go through the strait. They're just not letting U.S. or any U.S. allied ships go through.
Yeah, I heard that. I thought that was fake, but if you're saying it, then
no, I'm hearing that from multiple sources. Cargill and Kashima.
Okay, I mean, yeah. Again, I did not look into it specifically, but I've heard it from a few people now. Initially, I thought that was fake, but now since multiple people are saying it, I'm gonna assume that that's true. Especially people like you who actually would research this stuff. So even though I haven't personally, I definitely put more weightage on the opinions of people who look into
this more stuff. Into it. But all I'm hearing is they just didn't attack the vessels. We don't know if they granted them safe passage or whatever, but they've been through there and nothing happened. So here we are.
Right. But yeah, if that's the case, basically US and Canada are gonna be like drinking their own oil while the rest of the world forms more deals with Middle East.
I mean, you and I both know that's exactly what's going to happen, is that America is basically screwing itself, and there's going to be more deals going on with other more reliable countries, and China pretty much gets the better end of the deal on this. So,
Let me play some 19D chess, right? You know how they say that USA is one of the most uninvadable countries because it has two oceans on the side. It's huge, things like that. That also makes the USA really hard to control its water. It's like waterways. So if Canada goes behind USA's back and works with Europe and Iran to get oil, USA cannot stop those ships. Like they'd have to basically control the entire Atlantic Ocean for that.
that actually sounds 80% less crazy than anything this man has said in the last 15 minutes. That could
Only been
actually
15
happen.
minutes, but there's content here. There's content here. I'll give it that.
Like, granted, I'm not watching this to like give any validity to this dude. I'm sitting here to laugh at it and how ludicrous it is, and the fact that it's been like, when was this put out? 6 days ago, and within 6 days, like at least 20%
So
of
we
it
haven't even
is down the toilet.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the point where like literally the events of the past few days have completely broken this. We're just talking about even if those hadn't gone through, how does this make sense? But now it
Ugh.
generally does not make sense.
No, it doesn't get any better from here. And Hong Kong is a Canadian citizen with protections from that government. If he got that citizenship revoked, he would revert to Chinese citizenship and only, and his father was a deserter. The CCP would have him in a red room before the ink on the paperwork dried. Oh, that's rough. Specifically, Article 26, coastal states are prohibited from imposing charges on foreign ships solely for the purpose of innocent passage through the territorial waters. This means a country cannot charge a transit fee, toll, or passage tax simply for a cargo ship. You tell that to the Houthis, Nair. You tell the Houthis that.
For some strange reason, he
Or as
benefits.
Jiang says them, Houthis.
The United States benefits.
Houthis.
Because now,
No blowfish.
Europe and China, Japan, Australia, they're much more dependent on North America for resources, for food, for energy. Okay? All right, food. Okay, so nitrogen is important for fertilizers. Okay, you need nitrogen for fertilizers.
Is Africa in play yet?
Need a lot of
And
things for
what this map
fertilizer.
tells you is that if you are in the blue or the light blue, it means
I gotta
you
leave Houthi
produce
alone.
more
consequences.
nitrogen than you need, so you export it. If you are not in the blue, then you're kind of screwed, okay? So basically, this area especially, this area, okay? Europe, as some parts of Europe, okay? So now they need more nitrogen. And again, before they were getting a lot of nitrogen, ammonia, from the Middle East. And now, where are they forced to get the nitrogen? From here and from here. Okay? So again,
What up,
By the way,
yes, I know Donald
again,
Trump's losing
pause.
this
Africa is
war
screwed.
in the Middle East.
As usual, Nair. Go
By
ahead.
the way, ammonia and nitrogen are very different molecules. Like obviously ammonia contains nitrogen, but there's like an entire Born-Haber process that is used to make ammonia. So if he's saying the world, like, I guess he's not a chemist, so I can't be too harsh on him. But if he's saying nitrogen and ammonia and he's using them like in equivalent terms, they're not equivalent. Like nitrogen is 71% of the air. Like if it was so easy to extract nitrogen, you would have done it. Like most of the nitrogen, I believe. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say it because I'm not 100% confident. But yeah, there's a whole, like one of the most important chemical processes that humans have ever tapped into is the Born-Haber process that basically creates ammonia. That is used for fertilizers and shit. So this nitrogen exports and then him sort of using it interchangeably with ammonia does not land well with me. Go on.
I'm eating my cake.
Fees, but in the long term, America stands to benefit. Right. Last thing I want to look at is water. Okay.
Yes, Jackie, absolutely is. And he's already named multiple resources that can be gained in other places and aren't too hard to get. But to make this whole weird 12D chess game make sense while he's marking on a board and constantly shifting maps, he has to throw out these little factoids that don't make any sense.
Yeah,
Water is
so
important
much,
because
sorry.
water tells us.
Don't want to. Like, it relies on so many assumptions. And okay, like, I'm not gonna say there's no facts. Like, yes, Canada does have oil, right? But out of like 17,000 possible different like possibilities, he's cherry picking the one that aligns his worldview or aligns with making Trump look like somewhat of a genius, quote unquote, right? But there's so many things that he leaves out. Like, yes, like Europe and Canada are independent sovereign nations. Why does he think that Canada is just going to fall to the US like that?
So just that one alone had me laughing. Like, you really think that's going to work out? We're already doing horrifically bad in regards to Iran.
What makes him think that Iran won't open up the Strait of Hormuz? Like, it already has, right? Like, Iran, China, all of these countries, they actually have there's some natural gas pressure on them, but for gas there really isn't much pressure on them. Like, for gas, like they call it petrol in India and China. So since we're using natural gas versus gasoline, I guess we gotta start using a different word for gas.
Step 1, start a random war for your imperialist machine. Step 2, struggle to get a surrender. Step 3, profit. Perfected analogies, attempting to perform mentalism of geopolitics like a street magician. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. And he's just hoping you don't see the trick going on in the background.
Dude, the problem is people like him are fucking advising Trump. I'm not even joking.
Wait, no.
It's like fucking arslers like him that are actually advising Trump. So he's, instead of putting himself in reality, he's put himself in the shoes of fucking arslers who see the world. You know what? I'm starting to think why he thinks Illuminati controls the world. Because if he puts himself in Trump's advisor's shoes, they are probably evangelists who think that Israel is like, or the sovereignty of Israel and existence of Israel is the path to heaven or whatever the fuck. So the logical conclusion, if you believe that conspiracy, then you probably believe in fucking Illuminati or some shit who wants to do that shit too.
I mean, when he said Illuminati in the very first video I watched, I already knew this dude was unhinged. I just didn't know like he was going to get this much play. And now it's everywhere, and the things he's saying are so scattershot all over the place. It's kind of hard to ignore. But no, I was saying before, the fact that he's already having issues with Iran, and when everything happened in the first place with Gaza, he couldn't even really deal with the Houthis. Like,
Houthis.
What do you expect is going to happen if he decides to screw with Canada? And what if NATO actually decides to say screw the U.S. in that instance?
Also, do you know what the B in BRICS stands for? Do you know what the B in BRICS stands for?
Go right ahead.
Brazil. Brazil is also one of the countries that has a lot of oil.
Yeah, my mic is all the way up. My bad, dude. Eventually, I'm going to get a new mic or rework this one because I get pretty low volumes on it, but it's clear. I like that it's clear.
It sounds good on Discord. For some reason on Twitch, it sounds much softer than on Discord. But also, like, I've been speaking loudly and my mic is... Yeah, sorry, my mic is a little bit loud, so that kind of does not help your cause. So sorry about that. But yeah, the B in BRICS stands for Brazil, and Brazil is also pretty deep blue on this map. Brazil also has tons of oil. Why would China and India, who are the C and I of BRICS, then go to the US when they can go to Brazil?
Yeah, Jack's getting to the bottom of this. I love it. No, it could be my OBS settings because the mic's going through my OBS, so that could be it all the same. But I can't change anything on that either at the moment.
Yes, connections to Russell Vought back in the early teens.
Yeah.
Isn't Russell Vought like a fucking voice character?
No, you're thinking of the Vought Corporation.
Oh, okay. I thought Gianfranco Esposito played Russell Vought.
I quit. I quit. All right, back to this madness. We're not even halfway through it yet.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm super
Are
sorry.
the most stable.
Why do you
Basically,
think I invited
if you have a lot of water, you're less prone to conflict. But if you don't have that much water, then you're prone to conflict, okay? So we look at, so if you're in a dark blue, you're good, okay? Nothing to worry about. If you are in the light blue, you are in a lot of trouble, okay? So if we look at this area, North America, pretty stable because lots and lots of fresh water, okay? If you look at Russia, pretty stable, lots and lots of fresh water. But if you're Africa, you're in a lot of trouble. If you're Europe, you're in a lot of trouble.
What did I miss?
He's basically saying that all the countries that have a lot of water around them, you're going to be okay. But if the more landlocked you are, the more screwed you are. And yes, Birdbanes, I would give you a whiteboard and put more stock in the things that you say around that whiteboard than this dude. 500 internal server. The conspiracy theory rises.
I'm confused about the access to water. Or, sorry, access to fresh water. Okay, I mean, like, how does Russia has access to fresh... Well, maybe the polar ice caps. So would Canada. America has a lot of rivers, but, like, fresh water kind of remains a mystery. Brazil has Amazon. Okay, I can kind of see that, but, like, I'm sure there's other countries that have a lot of fresh water like that as well. Right? Like Europe has a lot of rivers like the Danube, the Rhine, things like that that have a lot of like floodplains, or not floodplains rather, like fertilized plains. India has like half the country has really fertile land. So yeah, I'm kind of like confused why. Okay, I'm not confused. I know what he's doing. He's just saying shit and assuming that his audience would just buy it.
Well, yeah,
and Americans being the arselers that they are, who don't research anything, they're gonna buy
it. Oh, chat is great tonight. See, it's a little bit of pain to bring us all together.
If you are Middle East, you're in a lot of trouble. If you are Southeast Asia, you are not in that much trouble, but you are in some trouble, okay? So we already see how this map tells us.
Does he know what the Congo River is? Does he know there's like a bunch of rainforests in Africa that they have a lot of access to fresh water?
I'm gonna say it doesn't sound good and doesn't look good on the whiteboard.
In fact, half of China is a desert, right? Like, does he know that? Like, China's dark blue here, but half of China is like mountain and arid, like mountainous and arid, where not a lot of crops grow.
Yeah, no.
In fact, a lot of it's pretty much like the entire. It's pretty much just the eastern side of China that, eastern side of China and along like certain rivers that most of their civilization is based. Like Western China or sort of Central Asia is very sparsely populated. So I don't know why China is in dark blue and India, which is literally the most populous country, which has half the country is like pretty much a fertile plain, that's in light blue. And he's saying that light blue is in trouble and dark blue is safe. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Don't let the propaganda get to you. Just know what we're seeing to begin with.
I hope the 14 people in chat hear what I'm saying and they understand that, yeah, he has no clue what he's talking about. Like, the facts just don't support him. Even if I didn't know anything about fertility of land, I can just look at the population distribution of these countries and realize that he's shitting. He's just making shit up.
But he's got so many videos making shit up and saying things that sound really interesting to people.
There's not a single part of India. Dude, I am from India. There's not a single fucking part of it. Even the desert of India is more fertile than other deserts in the world. That's how fertile India is. And he's saying that India is in trouble because we don't have access to fresh water.
Yeah, no, that's
How
crazy
does that
talk.
make sense?
That is crazy talk. Legit. Yeah, he speaks with very strong confidence while being ridiculously wrong. How do we know Z isn't making things up? Yeah. See, how do we know you're not making things up? Is this,
I'm from India, dude. Do you want me to talk in an Indian accent?
Exactly why we can't trust you. You're telling us that India has all the resources it needs. This sounds like some propaganda.
India does not have access to natural gas and oil. I'll give you that. Natural gas, oil, and copper. These three things are like the biggest weakness of India. So if you ever want natural gas and oil, they can be replaced with other like technology and shit. You can't really replace copper. So if you want to control India, work towards monopolizing copper.
Okay, he's given us the weaknesses and the secrets. He's good. Not an op.
Basically, Russia and the United States, North America, are the most stable parts of the world with the most resources. And therefore, they are the most resilient, the most stable, okay? But if you go to Africa, Europe, Middle East, Southeast Asia, these are points of conflict in the world. So we can expect these places to become much more unstable over time. So in other words, all the United States and Russia have to do is maintain stability and then export resources to these places. And guess what? And then they make a lot of money for themselves. Okay? So again, I understand Donald Trump's an idiot. I understand this war in the Middle East is stupid, but
actually, he's a genius. The war is not stupid.
Perspective, the United States wins from this disaster.
What?
Yes, Donald Trump is an idiot. Yes, this war doesn't make sense. But you know what? America still comes out on top. What the fuck? He's just saying shit. And I'm just supposed to believe him.
This is the worst hypothetical I probably have ever heard in my entire life. And I've heard some really bad hypotheticals. So, we are about at the halfway point. Do you think it can get worse?
Assuming it does, because there's things in my brain that are like, no, he has only reached like 2 levels deep. You know, Dante's Inferno, there's like 9 levels of hell. He's probably at like level 2 or 3 right now.
So, dude,
there's a bit more space to get more unhinged. So
hilarious enough, the last 2 videos he's put out have been about Dante's Inferno.
Oh shit. Dude, I am psychic, bro. I was psychic in the autism video. I was psychic in Professor Jiang's video. This is like the 3rd time I'm proving myself to be psychic. So,
CIA End of the World video.
You know, get me on Joe Rogan.
Jiang has a teaching position in some university or college. Yeah, I hear it's in Beijing or something on that order, but I don't know for sure. For all I know, he's in a CIA compound filming this right now.
Also, like a side tangent, you know, there's this big controversy about the Mercator projection, how it makes like northern and southern land like look bigger than it is, and it minimizes the scale of like countries that are closer to the equator. Mm-hmm. Like, I get that. I know that it's math, so like you can't really help it. But for some reason on his map, it looks even more exaggerated. Like Russia looks way big. Like Russia looks bigger than like twice the size of Africa.
Yeah, no, he pulls up different maps whenever it's convenient. That's why he keeps shifting maps.
It's like, for some reason, like his Mercator projection looks worse than other Mercator projections. It's already controversial because...
So, Moon saying ignore Africa because we haven't finished Hunter x Hunter Succession arc before reaching the Dark Continent, and he's absolutely correct. We need the Dark Continent.
I haven't even seen Hunter x Hunter, but
oh, dude, you're missing out.
I get it. I get it.
It's magical. All right, back to the madness.
From a long-term perspective, okay? Now, you look at this map, you think, well, China's pretty good too, right? Like China has a lot of fresh water. The problem with China, though, is this.
The problem with China is that
sits on a lot of fresh water that Southeast Asia and India depends on, okay? So a lot of water is in the Tibetan Plateau, and it flows downstream into India and in Southeast Asia. If there were a drought, using game theory, we can suspect that China might want to keep the water for itself, right? In which case, Southeast Asia and India would be very angry, okay? So this is a potential flashpoint that we have to watch out for. Okay? So it seems like China is stable, but the surrounding areas are not so stable. And so China will be dragged into a conflict. Okay?
Wait,
all right.
Pause again?
So let's summarize what...
I understand that, yeah, water is a very useful resource. Obviously, you want it, right? And Tibet, it's not as popular, but there are people who live in Tibet. Like, there are people who live in very harsh conditions and things like that. China has fucking Yangtze River, right? China has like 8 rivers. I said 8 rivers, kind of like just out of my ass, but like there's at least 3 major rivers on the Chinese East Coast. Now, again, you can always use more water. I'm not like, I agree that there is a potential flashpoint that China has been building dams in that part of the world, kind of to control water and shit like that. But China does not need to get involved in a conflict if it's just about water. It is about control and politics, like politics and diplomacy and shit. So it can use that to its advantage. But if it's purely about water, like China has 3 other rivers it can tap water from.
Yeah, no, this is kind of silly work. And the idea that China can't figure out something technologically to get more water.
They build the world's largest dam. Build the Three Gorges Dam.
There you go.
It's on the Yellow River. It's not on the Brahmaputra.
So we've caught Professor Jiang again, pulling a fast one.
This lying by omission is like the least of the sins here.
And there's like 7 rivers on the east, dude. Like, you were absolutely right. India also has one of the largest aquifers in the world. Yeah, I think Zephyr was talking about that earlier. Yeah, this dude is gas walling us in real time. Yeah, if it became like enough of an issue to where, we either go to war or we drill down into this water, they're going to drill down into the water. It's not even a question.
We've learned so far.
It's cheaper.
So these are the countries with the most
just gonna say,
oil reserves.
When you have 1 billion people and there's like billions of gallons of water, eventually every single person only getting some gallons. So there is a problem in India, which they do need to sort out. They do need to find out ways to be able to use their resources more effectively and things like that. But yeah, billions of gallons of water for billions of people does not equate to prosperity. It still means that a lot of people will get a little water each.
They do have a lot of people. Have we been there to prove Professor wrong? Well, I haven't, but Zephyr did, so.
Okay, Venezuela.
It's what plants crave.
Iran, Canada, Iraq, UAE, Kuwait, United States, Russia. Okay. All right. Now, what's interesting about this is this. This war in the Middle East is going to knock out the oil production of Saudi Arabia, of Iran, of Iraq, of UAE, of Kuwait. Which leaves what? Which leaves, Venezuela, Canada, and the United States, okay? North America, and Russia.
See,
The way he
he's
says
tying it
Russia is
together.
very similar to how Trump says China.
He is tying it together
Russia.
right now. I called this BS before I even started watching it.
Okay, which countries did he cross out? Saudi Arabia, which is a U.S. ally. Then he crossed out Brazil, which I don't know why he crossed out Brazil. Like, Brazil is... He has not brought up Brazil before this video, and he just crossed it out. Then he crossed out Iran. Okay, fair enough. UAE, which is, again, another ally of America. Then he crossed out Kuwait, which... Actually, I don't know Kuwait. Is Kuwait an ally of America? I think it is, right? Like, America came to its aid during the Gulf invasion or Iraqi invasion and things like
have
that.
a clip. I think I know what the clip is, but we need to watch it anyway.
Okay.
Oh, Waterworld.
Oh, God.
I did not expect Waterworld. And this is how we survive after Professor Jiang is proven correct.
Dude, if he has a filter like that, why doesn't he fucking filter the ocean? Why doesn't he filter the ocean water? Why is he filtering his pee?
Because he trusts it more than the ocean water, damn it. And he has gills. It's fine. That was good. All right, back to this madness. He just leaves Libya, Nigeria, Kazakhstan, China, Qatar, Brazil, like, out of the equation altogether.
Yeah, like Africa can pretty much like tap into Nigeria. what's up with that?
So dumb.
Now,
And there's another Brazil at 15. There's a Brazil at 3. Wait, what is 3? Is it Brazil?
Brazil's at the bottom at 15.
Yeah. So what's at number 3? I thought that was Brazil.
That's Iran.
Oh, that's Iran. Okay, sorry. Wait, then what's at number 5?
5 is Iraq.
Oh,
You know,
how is Brazil 15th in the list and still dark blue in his maps?
Because he's lying. It's
Fair
exponentially
enough.
easier to filter piss water than seawater. Yeah, I guess that's true. Actually, he has gills, right? Means he can filter salt.
Wait, do you have
water.
does Jenny have a degree in filtration of piss water versus ocean water? How do I believe?
Yeah, people thought the same, Bird Brains, back when it came out. It didn't do so hot, but it's aged pretty well. Especially with Professor Jiang doing this great work he's doing. There's going to be a resurgence.
who has to buy oil? All right, let's look at who buys oil.
Time to turn the light on.
Well, the United States consumes a lot of oil, but again, it has its own supply of oil. China needs to import a lot of its oil needs, okay? So China imports about 75% of its oil needs. India, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, Japan, South Korea, okay? Germany. All right, so China, India, Japan, South Korea imports a lot of oil. And where does it get its oil from? The Middle East, right? So if it can't get its oil from the Middle East, then these four countries, China, India, Japan, and South Korea, will need to get the oil either from the United States or Russia. Okay? And why does this matter?
Yeah, India's already getting its oil from Russia.
Well, let's look at this. Let's look at who owns the most U.S. treasuries. Basically, if you own a lot of U.S. treasuries,
adding
it
a layer.
means that you are financing American debt. America right now is $39 trillion in debt. That's a lot of money, but as long as people continue to buy U.S. debt, as long as people want
feel like
to buy U.S. treasuries,
at least,
it's not a
10 trillion of the 39 trillion is just from Trump, if not more.
Well, I mean, you got to consider bonds and other things. So there's a certain amount of money that America has to outlay, and Japan has
And the
the most of it.
And the Japan thing is like entirely just speculative marketing, or speculative trading. So I agree that it's like a lot of things, and like these stockbrokers are genuine. If there's one group of people that are more retarded than Trump, it's the stockbrokers on Wall Street. They have put so much money into Japan on just the hope and prayer and the speculation that their stocks are not going to increase, and they're just going to be able to buy more stock without much interest. And now Japan is completely revitalizing their economy and things like that. So they're all screwed. So yeah, in a certain sense of way, like the U.S. is screwed regardless of what happens with Iran, because a lot of money is put into Japanese stocks. Or again, I'm not a financial person, I don't know what the correct terms are, but a lot of money has been put through like these Japanese stocks or bonds in the hopes that they won't gain a lot of interest. And now Japan is completely revitalizing their economy or completely changing the way they work. So yeah, they're all screwed. Or if not all, but like the thought that they put into it like is gone southwards.
This is slightly accurate, but the conclusions, yeah, he's using real data here. Like, I'm not going to argue with that. But what he's planning on doing with it is,
it's still cherry picking data. Even like cherry picking data, you can still pick the right data, but you can still cherry pick from the correct data.
Mm-hmm.
Problem, okay? It's a Ponzi scheme. Okay. So let's look at this. Who are the biggest holders of U.S. debt? Japan, China, right? Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, India. Okay, so this is all Asia. And we already said
Professor Jiang
that Asia needs our oil from the Middle East, right? Now let's look at others. United Kingdom is second, okay? Cayman Islands is basically just Europe as well. It's a money laundering operation, okay? Belgium, Luxembourg, Canada, France, Ireland, Switzerland. These countries are Europe.
Canada is Europe.
And again, where do we say?
I mean, it is in like
most oil from the GCC go? It goes to either Asia or Europe. And now, because of the stupid war in the Middle East, Asia and Europe are now forced to buy oil from either Russia or the United States. And this is important, okay? This is important because
we're heading to a full lockdown of everybody getting their oil or other supplies from North America or Russia, because basically he's saying America and Russia are going to team up to take over everything, and then we just have to deal with China at that point. Seems to be where he's going. Is Canada, US, or Europe? That's the question. Once his speculation comes to pass, Canada is US.
To be fair to Jiang, he did not circle Canada. Even though he said Canada, he did not circle it. So there's that.
Sure.
He did not circle it.
Previously, there's a fear that these countries would stop buying U.S. treasuries because America is too heavily in debt. The American economy is too much of a Ponzi scheme. So there's this great fear that Europe and Asia would move away from the US dollar and more towards Swiss francs or gold, okay? Now, because Europe and Asia need fertilizer, they need energy from the United States and North America, the United States no longer has to worry about its debt, okay? All right, the $39 trillion debt, not a problem, because the entire world is dependent on North America for resources. The Ponzi can keep on going. So again, Donald Trump is an idiot, but he's so stupid, he's become a genius. Okay?
Well, Real quick.
My forehead's wrinkling whenever he says that.
Birdbangs to
But
what
yeah,
you're
I mean,
saying. If this was a class, this dude should lose any tenure he has. What class do you teach this to?
you know what I will say, that the last video that we watched of him, he wasn't looking at the camera. He was looking at something behind the camera, which again could have been an act. Like,
Or
I'm
his
not saying he was
handler.
teaching a class. Yeah, now he's just looking straight up at the camera. So he's definitely not teaching a class right now, unless you consider like watching this video class, which is retarded. But
Finally said it. Okay.
shit, which is our slurred.
You were trying so hard. Now put money in the swear jar and we will move forward.
Fine, cheering 100. Fuck you.
All right. Now
Hey,
you're
look what I
like,
can
wait,
do.
but Donald Trump's an
you,
idiot.
Zephyr.
Where would he get this? Where would he get this idea from? How do you know how to do this?
CRT,
And the answer is because Putin has already proven that this strategy works in Ukraine. Okay, so let me show you how. Okay, so this is the war in Ukraine. And as you can see, the dark red are areas in which Russia is contesting territory. The light red, the pink are areas in which Russia wants to gain territory. As you can see, Russia still has a long way to go. And we're already 4 or 5 years into this war, which means that this war can go on for another 10, 20 years. It's a very slow grind. And it's good for Russia. Yes, I know that Russia is losing a lot of soldiers.
Fuck? What the actual fuck? He's just pulling shit out of his ass. Russia said that they would conquer the whole of Ukraine in 2 days. It's gone on for 5 fucking years. And now Russia being a slow war is suddenly good for Russia.
Ain't no way.
Jesus, like these people, like they don't have any context on what to extract from like literal news. It's not even history. Like it's 4 years old. It's not even called history at this point. It's just the past.
You heard me the second he said this worked for Russia. I was immediately like, are you serious? Yeah, it just keeps getting worse. Like I had some belief that it would get worse. I didn't know how much worse it could get.
Yeah, it's just completely nonsensical. It's made for people who generally haven't read a single news article in the past like 5 years.
Or just didn't understand what they were reading. I really couldn't.
Yeah, it's like those TikTok brain fucking adults and teenagers who get all their news from TikTok, who haven't actually read a single article.
But Jack, I
So
had to get a scope to the bottom of the rabbit hole to see how far it goes, because I'm not going to watch another one of this dude's videos. So far, we did one a few weeks back, and then this one, and I'm done with this dude. But we have to know for sure this dude is an op.
And I know that the Russian economy is suffering, but this long war of attrition is good for Russia. Why? Well, because first of all, what it does is it allows Russia to industrialize its economy. Okay? It allows Russia to...
What's the connection?
Excuse me?
Is Russia's economy not already industrialized?
Yeah, I thought it was. Like, we're the only ones really not having an industrialized economy.
Imagine you're in a debate and some fucking arsler comes in and says it allows Russia to industrialize its economy. What would your response be to that? It would be like, what the fuck do you mean by industrialize the economy? Like, how is it not already industrialized? What more industrialization could be? And why is it only possible through a slow attritional war in Ukraine? Why can't it be possible without that war?
Oh, would have been much more possible without that war and the personnel that he's losing in doing so, and the severe. No, this dude is taking us down a path we don't need to go down. We know this
He's
is full of
just saying
garbage.
shit. He's just, bro, at this point, it's not even like connecting any logical dots. It's like he's just making shit up and just trying to justify his position. I doubt he'll be able to connect the two dots, like whatever he's made up, whatever he's talking about Russia. I doubt he'll be able to connect it to how Trump is a genius. But like him talking about Russia in and of itself is just completely made up, fabricated bullshit. So whatever logic he connects the two dots with, like you must realize that the Russia talking point at the very least is completely bullshit. So even if he does connect the two, like there is no endpoint. There's like the connection started out from a false point.
Here we go.
Center its economy around war production. Okay, so the red, as you can see, is total industry. Okay, and as you can see, it's been going up since the war started. All right, overall industry has been going up
Only comrades.
as well. Unfortunately, industries that are not dominated
How does an
by the
industry
military,
grow
that
up?
have no
Grow?
war purpose,
Okay.
it's actually
Pause again, sorry. I'm trying to read this chart, right? Again, it's really hard to read, but like, okay, the red line is going up. According to him, that's overall industry bracket parentheses Russia. What's growing up? Like, is it a share of the economy? Is it like billions of dollars of investment? Like, what is the measure? What is the thing that's being measured here?
I assume.
How do you measure industry?
I assume it's military, because that's all Russia's using at the moment.
No, well, the red is overall industry, which is no clue what that measurement is. And then there's like one blue and one green, which is really hard to tell apart. There's like two blues and one green. So it's like you can't even tell the difference between these fucking lines. One is apparently overall industry by HSE University. I don't know what the fuck that means. One is manufacturing excluding the what? The mica and oil refining?
Like I said, I assume it's military industrial complex industrialization, because I don't trust the one thing he didn't circle, which is manufacturing.
Yeah, but like manufacturing what? Like, is it investment in manufacturing? Is it output, yields, percentage of the economy? Like, what is being measured? Like, how can you measure just manufacturing? Is it like units produced per hour? Like, what the fuck is it? There's no context to this chart.
No, there absolutely is not.
Oh, the manufacturing is increasing. Usually when people say manufacturing is increasing, I would assume they mean like number of units produced per hour or productivity or something like that is increasing. But then how do you measure industry?
Actually, good question. I don't think he even factors that in. Oh, and then he has another overall industry. Yeah.
There's like two overall industries. One is in red, and then one is HSE University. Like, what the fuck does that mean, bro?
Let's see what he gets.
going down. Okay? So it seems as though the entire Russian economy is being restructured for total war, for a long war. And that is the purpose, that is the goal.
You gotta love post hoc rationalization.
So again, the pink are military industries. The blue are civilian industries. And as you can see, the pink
he had one job
completely dominate
to
the
separate
blue.
between blue and pink, and he couldn't.
And the trend is increasing, meaning it is possible in 4 or 5 years' time, Russia is primarily a war economy, industrializing to produce war weapons, okay, munitions. Specifically...
Okay, pause.
I mean, I called that, but go ahead.
Yeah, when he says it's possible within 5 to 10 years Russia has a war economy. That's not the goal. That's not the goal that they started out with. That's become the eventual goal because it's taking so long to conquer Ukraine. He says that, assuming that, oh, Russia always wanted to be a war economy. That's why they purposely slowed down their invasion of Ukraine and made it an attritional war so that they could develop their war economy. Like, how the fuck does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it was supposed to be like 3 to 5 days. They would have had the whole thing wrapped up in a week, and then they would have had all the resources and everything they want out of Ukraine. They did not plan on becoming a war economy, but
Yeah. Oh, I could make like fucking Lay's chips or like grocery stores, like fucking Tesco's in Russia. I could be building roads. I could be helping my people. I could be like making fucking iPhones or like equivalent of iPhones in Russia or whatever. Oh, but you know what? I'd like to make tanks, which are going to get destroyed by Ukrainian drones.
exactly. Yeah. No.
And you know what? Not only that, I want to make it the central pillar of my economy. Things that can be destroyed tomorrow.
5D chess, man. No, he's giving way
Trump
too
is a
much
genius,
credit.
man. Like,
Oh yeah.
Trump is a genius, I guess. Like, yeah, oh my God, he definitely took all of this into account.
Ain't no way. I've been saying ain't no way, but he keeps trying to find some angle, and he's literally throwing spaghetti at every part of the wall possible to see what's gonna stick. So there's a little bit. Oh God, there's so much more of this left.
Drones,
Oh.
okay? These are drones. All right. So, before, at the beginning of the war, Russia was dependent on Iran for drones, okay? But then what happened over time is that Russia started to have its own domestic production, okay? So imports from Iran have stayed constant, and then domestic production has gone way up, which tells us that the Russian economy is industrializing for the production of drones. And Russia is preparing to fight a long, long war.
Preparing?
Now, not only can Russia produce...
Wait, he said preparing. How much longer do you think that war is going to go on?
It's hard to say. I don't want to don't want to say something and then jinx it. I genuinely think that it's going to be one of those things that within the next like 4 years or so, there's going to be like a demilitarized zone, kind of like Korea and shit like that. And Ukraine's just going to lose Donbass and Luhansk and Crimea. And then
How long have we been
just
saying
new maps
this?
will be drawn. But I don't think Russia is going to be able to conquer its objectives, according to Jiang, the things that are in pink.
So there were objectives.
The objective was to take over Kiev in like 2 days. It's been 4 years.
It's been forever. we thought up with the drone net system back, I think it was 16 years ago. Yeah. Materials. This is
use its own drones for the war, but it can also export its drones to Iran to fight against the Americans.
what?
Okay? And so you're like, wait a minute here.
So Russia is going to supply Iran with drones to fight the U.S.
As soon as it's done taking over Ukraine, it's gonna start supplying the drones immediately to Iran/US or whoever the fuck suits his narrative.
Yeah, I'm going to say they don't have the ability to diversify their war efforts at this point. It just doesn't seem correct.
Here. So
Now, why doesn't he
Russia
show the
is
production of
so-
Ukrainian drones? Why doesn't he show the quote unquote diversification of the Ukrainian economy in terms of drones? Why is Russia the only thing that's being highlighted here?
Because that's how propaganda works, Zephyr. I need you to get on board.
On board, fuck.
switching its entire economy to war production, which means that Russia will always fight wars. Is that what Russia's planning? And the answer is yes, it is. Okay? And so let me explain
pause
why.
again.
He is saying
Pause the
Russia
fuck
wants
again.
to be in perpetual war for all eternity.
Bro, if you make the same graph in Germany in the 1940s, it would look way worse. The ratio of like war production to the rest of the whatever production, like rest of the economy, the proportions would be way off in favor of war. And they stopped it within like 2 months. It does not take a lot of effort to stop the entire industry of war. You just got to stop the war. Once that war is stopped, yeah, the entire economy collapses.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So, like, where's
Instead, he's trying to show that fucking vulnerability in the Russian economic system as a feature. He's trying to pass off one of the biggest vulnerabilities in the world right now as, oh, it's actually good for Russia.
Well, he's basing this off of like one book he read from like 20 years ago.
What the fuck book is that? And can we imprison the author?
The author very well may be imprisoned already. It's been 20 years. It could have been Coach Red Pill for all I know, but this dude, like he pointed out the book in another video. I forget which one it was, but it was like from 20 years ago, and he's still proclaiming that the doctrine is the same from like 20 years ago, which can't possibly be right. All right, we got to let this run a little while. Let's see what he says.
Why Russia's planning this. This is something called the Third Rome Plan, okay? And this comes from the 1996 book. Sorry, 1996 book.
There it is.
Foundations of Geopolitics, okay? By Alexander Dugin, who I think is one of the smartest geopolitical thinkers alive today, okay? And his argument is this. His argument is this unipolar moment of American dominance, it's going to fade away because it's too much focus on secularism, individualism, liberalism. And these ideas break apart community. These ideas are anti-human. So eventually, Western society, Western civilization will collapse because its values are abhorrent. And when it collapses, this gives opportunity for Moscow to become the third Rome, okay? We'll talk more about this in the future. But what's brilliant about Dugin is he recognizes that when the world collapses, all Russia has to do is stay stable and resilient. As long as it stays together, unified, cohesive, it'll be fine, okay? Because as this global order collapses, as the global economy collapses, every other society will face eternal collapse, such as the United States, okay? So he predicts civil war in the United States as left and right go to war against each other, okay? He predicts collapse of China. He predicts collapse of the Middle East. He predicts collapse of Europe, okay? So all these places are collapsing.
If liberalism is what's destroying America, what the fuck is destroying China? Why is China going to collapse? If according to his theory, yeah, Jiang just said China's going to collapse, right? But according to his theory, if liberalism is what's destroying America and Europe, what the fuck is destroying China then? Because as far as I know, China isn't like as liberal. Sure, it's like growing its economy, like the people are having a better sort of like in terms of the Maslow's hierarchy of need, they're at least the first like 3 or 4 tiers, they're getting better outcomes in those. But America, in theory, is having better outcomes in the top 4 tiers and struggling for like things like food and shit like that due to expenses, which could be like it will take like 1 or 2 presidential terms to overturn that, right? You just got to rebalance the economy. And then I'm reading on this Dugin, so I might need to, might need some time to read on it. But It sounds like the single most retarded piece of philosophy I've ever heard.
And you wonder why we're finding it here.
Right. How, like, I don't know what he's trying to connect. Like, Trump apparently is an evil genius, but because, and Alexander Dugin is also one of the most important genius geopolitical people. But Alexander Dugin predicted Russia is going to take over because America is too liberal and it divides communities, whatever the fuck that means. Even though liberalism has been the single biggest boon for like the entire planet in the past century, right? But that is going to destroy America. And now Trump has come in, and he's an evil genius, and he's destroying liberalism in America. And but still, Russia, because America is too liberal, is still going to like. How are these contradicting narratives all playing into his thesis?
Yeah, no, I don't think he has any rationale for why China's going to fall. Like anything beyond its economy itself being overinflated or like fake numbers coming out of China. He doesn't have any actual answer for that.
Like, fair enough. Yeah, China is making up fake numbers. You cannot argue that their economy is still growing. Yes, they have suppressed a lot of industries, things like that. Like, do we not like America? Do we think that America hasn't fudged the numbers? Do we not think that America has overinflated certain sectors of the economy?
I mean, that's a
Do we think that
guarantee.
America's hands are clean?
Well, I mean, they're already saying the downfall of America is just at the hands of a civil war, so it doesn't matter how bad our economy is.
I got really pissed off at this part. It's like to the point where it's like, people more intelligent than me can break this down because this is going like levels deep. It's no longer layers. Now we're talking about like fucking levels of philosophy and shit like that, which would take hours, if not days, to just kind of disentangle and shit like that. So
As
I
Jack would
like
say, it is now fractally wrong.
actually that's based. That I love that statement. So good on Jack for that one. I'm not gonna steal it, but
Basically,
I
if
would
you
if I
are the
could.
main
Steal
pillar
it.
of the global economy, you are much more susceptible to collapse than if you are not, okay? So what Dugan says is this, okay, all right. So the strategy is, first of all, Russia needs to stay coherent. It needs to defend its territory. It needs to unify its people through nationalism, through religion, okay, through faith. And then what Russia needs to do is figure out allies that would support the Russian outlook. And these allies could include Japan, okay? Vietnam, India, Iran, okay? And then by combining their forces, they become a trading bloc onto themselves. This is an age of nuclear weapons. You don't want to go to war against each other. But this is also an age of collapse. So as long as you're able to stay coherent, as long as you're able to defend your borders, then you'll come out ahead, okay?
How do you
So
defend
that's
your
the idea
borders if
of
someone
moving
nukes
towards
them?
war. Because war has a power to unify the imagination and the beliefs of the people in your nation. Right? So you're using war in order to increase the nationalism, the religion of your society, which will allow you to weather the storm better. Okay? So that is the grand vision of Alexander Dugin. And in my opinion, he is absolutely correct. And Russia is moving towards this by invading Ukraine. All right? So the Ukraine invasion was not a response to NATO. The Ukraine invasion was to implement this grand vision.
So, do we understand
for
like the levels of
creation of a
post
third
hoc
Rome.
rationalization that is being done here?
Yeah, but
Right?
it's still
Had
wrong.
Russia taken over Ukraine in 2 days, right? His entire hypothesis would have stayed the same, except the Russia bit would have been like, look how quickly they conquered Ukraine. They can do anything they want. Like through war and religion, they have united the people of Russia. And now that they're failing to conquer Ukraine, it's like, oh, Russia actually always wanted this because they want the war to continue, because their entire economy has been based on war, even though it happened after the fact. Like, how can anyone, like, you genuinely would have to be like fucking South Pole of Pluto levels retarded to believe any of this shit. And I bet you, we go to the comments, there's gonna be like 20,000 views. There's gonna be like about 5,000 comments, and all of them gonna be his support. Half of them are gonna be bots, but there's gonna be another half of people who actually believe this type of shit because they're generally South Pole of Pluto levels retarded.
Swear jar again. Let's go.
I mean, what's the point of redacting anymore? What is the fucking point of redacting? If he's not hiding his retardation, why should I hide saying the word retardation?
The idea, like, even with what he's saying, that the whole idea of what Russia was doing to try to unify, like, whatever areas around Russia, isn't the reality. Like, it's clearly they need resources. They know there's going to be a resource war coming up in the future. And they also want to have back as much of what was considered old Russia as possible.
Yeah, it's purely like, I don't want to say theological. It's, what's the word? Like, I guess it's like some variation of nationalist, right? Like having this, uh, um, having this idea of like a great unified nation in the past that you want to tap into and reunify the nation through fascism and things like that. I mean, that kind of is fascism on its own, to take severe action to reach to a point that like never really existed. Besides the border, there was never really a point that Russia was unified.
Not
There
for
were
a really
like people
long
in,
time.
yeah, there were like Ukrainians, the ethnicity of Ukrainians, right? Like the Romanis, the Gypsy, the Bulgarians, like they still wanted independence from Russia. So they just waited for the moment for when Russia got destabilized through the revolution, through world wars and things like that, and they dipped as soon as they could, and like eventually the collapse of USSR and shit like that. So this grand vision that Putin probably has in his brain, and that Jiang also has in his brain, of this great unified Russia, like it never really existed. The people were never unified. Why would they dip on the first chance they got if they were unified?
You're not wrong. But this dude is going to explain why it's a genius move for the future, and probably Putin gave Trump the blueprint to do the same thing for North America or some other garbage. Who knows? I don't know. Like, if I could predict what lunatic thing this man was going to say, I wouldn't be watching this, but I want to see how far it goes.
It's generally, bro, I'm surprised how far it's going. Like, there was always a chance it could reach this level, but like, when it actually does, you're still like, oh shit, it actually happened. I would not think this would happen, because this would have been like the single most retarded outcome that is genuinely possible. So I genuinely hope he does not go there. And he did not only go there, he went beyond it. It's like, okay, like, you're kind of awestruck. It's like watching two trains collide, right?
Bro, if it
You kind of
concludes
just have
with
this.
aliens, I will apologize to the entire chat if this ends with aliens.
It will probably end with Illuminati or some variation, like Freemasons, Illuminati, or Jesuits. It actually probably will.
Let's see.
To allow Russia to survive the coming collapse of the global order better than anyone else, okay? And so by taking over Ukraine, you now control 1/3 of the world's carbohydrates and a lot of the world's energy, right? Once you control Ukraine and the Black Sea, you are now able to export your energy and your food to Africa, to the Middle East, to Europe, to Asia, okay?
Yeah, but
So that's
you know
the
what?
grand
We're
vision
gonna take our
for
sweet ass fucking
Russia.
time to control that.
And again,
we're gonna become
in
a
my
nutritional
opinion,
war
this makes a
economy.
It'll come together within.
As
By
soon
the
as the
time you
heat
have
death of the
grandkids.
universe, it's right around the corner. We will get it done before the heat death of the universe.
Your
We'll
grandkids will
try
see, your grandkids will see
our
it.
darndest.
Guaranteed your grandkids will see it. Guaranteed. Probably. Maybe.
A lot of sense. The world is collapsing, and so you have to build a fortress.
Dude, he sounds like
You have to be
Applewhite now.
self-sufficient in order to weather the storm. So, given this, America is like Well, we can do the same thing, okay?
No, not
And
given
so
this.
the
It's
grand
like
plan
retarded.
for
Whatever
America
he's
is something
saying is
called
just given this. It's not given.
the technate,
It's
okay?
nowhere near given.
Sorry. This is something we'll discuss more later on, okay? But first I want to introduce this idea to you, the technate. And the technate is very simple. It's the idea that,
Dig
you
up
know
Edgar
what?
Casey.
Yes, the world is going into chaos.
He got it right in his
The
sleep.
world is collapsing. But North America is self-sufficient, right? So these past few months, Donald Trump has picking a fight with Denmark over Greenland, right? He's been threatening Canada. He's been threatening Mexico. He's been threatening Colombia. He's taking over Venezuela. He's been threatening Cuba. He's been threatening Honduras, Nicaragua. Why is he doing this? Because they're all
He says Nicaragua really weird. Why does he say Nicaragua so weird?
North America. Okay, what Peter Hegseth calls Greater North America.
That caught me, bro.
Right? And this is a
What the fuck
response
did you say?
to Moscow's Third Rome. If Moscow is going to build this Grand Alliance
I am not going.
in order to weather the storm, then America has no choice but to also build this Grand Alliance as well in order to protect itself in this coming storm. All right? So what Donald Trump has recognized is that Putin is right. The world is collapsing. There's nothing we can do to save the world. So let's just accelerate it in a way that allows America to benefit from this collapse.
Nice.
Okay? So by collapsing the GCC,
And apparently,
by collapsing the Middle
apparently,
East, you
the
make
Illuminati is to blame, not people like him, not accelerations like him. But it's like the fucking Illuminati who is to blame for the global collapse. Like, dear Lord, how? Huh?
Yeah.
During the World Wars, right? Like, Europe does still hold like a pretty significant portion of the world's economy, right? Like if Europe were to go into war or collapse, quote unquote, I don't know how that's possible. Like it's just like the entire fucking union just collapses. Europe, when it contained a more substantial portion of the world economy, when it went to war, conditions were way worse than what they are right now. The conditions aren't ideal. There's a lot of things that we need to do as a society to like balance sort of the wealth inequality and shit like that. But a lot of it is better off, like we are in a way better position still than we were in the 1930s as a civilization, as like a planetary civilization. So for him to say that the entire world is collapsing, no, we're nowhere near that. He's trying to tap into certain parts of these like psychopaths like Tim Pool who want to like have a civil war in America. Right? From both sides. And I know, I forget, was it like Ike or Jack who brought up like accelerationists? He's just trying to, damn, they're like, it's never been more blatant that he's trying to just cater to accelerationists by saying shit like this. Like fucking nihilist, accelerationists. And again, nihilism has its benefit to a certain degree, but it has to be balanced out with a positive outlook. Right? Like Buddhism, like certain parts of Hinduism, which are nihilistic in a certain sense of the word, that yes, nothing matters in life, but it is accompanied with the aftermath, like the afterlife and the process of moksha and karma and nirvana and all that shit. Right? Like he just wants the world to collapse. And he's just catering to a brigade of people who want the world to collapse.
Yes,
but the
and
very
no.
least, sorry, just to complete this thought, I guess the biggest benefit I can say is like he's gained an audience with the things that he's saying at this moment. I don't think he's gonna gain much more.
Well, let's hope. Again, this is the last video of his I'm watching. Even if people recommend him to me, I'm not watching them. This is a fever dream. And the hypothetical, this is the most slack-jawed hypothetical that is ham-fisting its way through pure nonsense of charts and maps and cherry-picked information that has absolutely no bearing. But people will say between 5 and 8 years from now that he predicted this garbage. Like, I can't even.
We need someone like Professor Dave who has like this huge audience to make like a debunking video. And like that debunking video like needs to happen right now, which would get like 10x the views than his actual videos do. actual video does. But that needs to happen before he gains a following.
Well, Professor Dave already did a video on him. Like most people, like a lot of
Oh, on
streamers
him?
have already done videos on this dude.
I know a few, but I did not know that Professor Dave has. But like, I was like someone of that sort of reach has to start debunking him immediately before it gains traction, because this is one of those things that, yeah, if a few things were to collide, then a lot of people would suddenly fall into this trap. Like his stuff probably already gets pushed onto TikTok. Like he's been on breaking points. Like these people, fucking Crystal Ball at Sagar and Jetty and like shitheads like that, they don't give a shit on how their guests and how their rhetoric affects the world. Like how much they're validating these insane opinions by having him on as a guest. Because something happened in Iran, like, oh, we'll call this person who probably made 5,000 predictions, but we're cherry picked 3 that got true, and we're going to invite him onto our show. Like, he's making, how many predictions is he making on his video? If we're being like super constrained, like in this one video, I bet he's probably made like at least 15 predictions, even if we are being super nuanced or being super tight with what we count as a prediction. He's probably made 15 predictions this video, and none of them are going to get true. However, he's going to get clipped on the 1 or 2 out of like 13 videos that he makes like this.
Yeah, exactly.
That he got
like
right.
What he said before about Trump, like most people already knew Trump was probably going to get the election. Like most people knew that he was going to do poorly and probably go after Iran. Like these are things that aren't hard to nail down, but they're not paying attention to the 30 to 50 other predictions that he made alongside of it. So you count the hits, you don't count the misses, and this is what you get.
It's not even that. There were probably people like him who predict that Trump's going to win, but someone predicted he's going to go to war with Mexico. Someone predicted he's going to go to war with Japan. Someone predicted he's going to go to war with Russia. And he predicted he's going to go to war with Iran. And then he went to war with Iran, and they're like, oh, he's the guy who predicted he's going to go to war with Iran. That means he knows something.
Yep. In all fairness to Crystal and Kyle, they probably looked into him, just not deep enough to find the crazy. They'll keep bringing. I mean, I'm pretty sure this dude probably went on Joe Rogan too, not that long ago.
Oh, fucking hell.
So, we got 8 more minutes of this. 8 more minutes.
Europe now dependent on American.
We got this.
North American energy and fertilizer exports. And this allows you the resources, the motivation to create the technate, okay? This self-sufficient economy, okay? Does it make sense? All right, okay.
All right. After secular talk, geez.
So let us summarize, okay? So in September 11th, 1991, George H.W. Bush, he responds to the fall of the Berlin Wall, the collapse of Soviet Union, by coining a new phrase called the New World Order. And there are 3 major pillars to the idea of the New World Order, okay? The first idea is that America will become the financial capital of the world. America will offshore resources and manufacturing to other places. And then America will focus primarily on finance, making Wall Street the center of the world. Okay?
What?
The other idea
Writing
is the idea
yellow
of
on white is like a stupid idea
multiculturalism.
as well.
So the world
It does not have that color
divided,
coordination
but
for which
what
I gave him
can
credit in the
unite
beginning.
everyone is the love of money, the love of consumerism. So if we just focus on making money and buying things, then the world will be forever at peace. Okay? And so we have to let go of borders. We have to let go of community. We have to let go of identity and focus more on consumerism. Okay? And the last idea is global domination, where in order for global trade to happen, America will provide security for all. No one has to fight it anymore because America will guarantee global peace. If anyone rises to challenge
He only had 5 colors on his little
Pax
wheel.
Americana, then America will go destroy it. Okay? So these are the 3 main pillars of the New World Order as announced by George H.W. Bush on September 11th, 1991. Okay? Trump world order is a response to this new world order. Basically, what Trump is saying, and what he's been saying for a long time is, why should America pay for the defense of other nations? Why should America have to be the consumer of last resort for everyone? Why are Americans paying for everything so that Europeans can have their welfare and their pension? Everyone's taking advantage of America, and it's destroying America. So let us change the New World Order to the Trump World Order, okay? And how do you do that? Well, you move America from a focus on finance to a focus on resources and manufacturing, okay? Basically, you believe the world is going to permanently...
Wait. No, I'll save this for the end.
And so you provide the resources and the manufacturing in order to facilitate this world war. Meanwhile, America has become Fortress of America. It can hide behind its fortress, continental fortress, and it's protected by two oceans, right? Okay? So this makes sense. Multiculturalism doesn't work. It leads to stupidity such as DEI, woke politics, transgenderism. It's all retarded. Let's focus on
he said it now.
He said it. Yeah, why should I not say it if he's saying it? Fuck this retard. Fuck this bitch-ass retard.
But seriously, expecting America to get back to full manufacturing, like, we've already failed it. Before he even made this prediction.
Does he realize if it wasn't for... Actually, I don't even know about the Iraq War. If it wasn't for the recession in 2008, the global recession in 2008, like, America was doing pretty good in the New World Order.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty good. Like, Bill Clinton delivered a budget surplus, right? That was like about 10 years after quote unquote New World Order, if we go by his theory, if that is what New World Order is, right? Bill Clinton delivered a budget surplus, right? America was like the envy of the world. Everybody wanted to come into America. Bro, I grew up in the 90s in India. America was seen as this place that, you got to aspire to be. Me and my parents, we traveled to America on a vacation, right? When we used to come back, our relatives used to call us American and used to like literally kind of not literally treat us like royalty, but like literally phrase their sentences and like, oh my god, look, they're coming from America, like they're not royalty or some shit. Half teasing, but kind of half of that was like, when I talk to other people, they would generally kind of be like, oh shit, they traveled to America, what the fuck. Like, that was what America used to be, not 20 years ago. And I know people who live in America, they probably don't see it like that. They probably didn't see it like that 20 years ago either. But I'm saying that was what America was. So New World Order was going pretty fucking good. There's no evidence that the Trump World Order in this analogy or in this particular hypothesis has any level. Like, it's not even comparable to what the New World Order achieved in just a few years, in just like a decade and a half.
But yeah, Jack is
End of
right.
rant.
He gave us a surplus, then he repealed Glass-Steagall, which basically just was a ticking time bomb waiting to go
Again,
off.
I'm not saying that Bill Clinton was this like amazing person who never went wrong. I'm saying that the evidence that the New World Order was working. Like, obviously there would have been things, but the problem is through the Iraq War, through the global recession, and then fucking Trump after all of that shit has just jeopardized the entire project. So maybe, yeah, Clinton made a mistake. You never got the chance to correct that mistake because there was just so much chaos that happened right after. That's what my kind of broad assumption, like broad hypothesis is. But my bigger point is that despite these few little cutbacks and things like that, the New World Order was working out pretty good.
I mean,
and then all that bullshit had to happen.
Not necessarily wrong. Like, we were closer to what he's talking about before Bush and before Trump. So I would say there's certain steps along the way where that was completely jeopardized and wasn't going to happen. And the line cannot continue to go up forever. Oh, this
Yeah,
is getting dumb.
were always going to be obstacles in the way. The problem is that instead of removing the obstacles kept getting compounded to the point where now there's this Trump world order when we have a little bit of evidence. I'm not going to say it's like a huge amount of evidence, but we have a decade and a half of evidence that the new world order, in this particular analogy, was working out well, was delivering results, and maybe if we ironed out those obstacles, maybe we would have continued to. But we have no fucking evidence. In fact, any sort of evidence we're getting about the Trump world order is just directly negatively affecting Americans and the world.
Oh, let's see where this goes.
The white race, our nation, and God. Okay? So no more of this multiculturalism. No more immigration. No more open borders. No more Democratic Party. Let's just focus on being Christian nationalists. Okay? Love the United States.
What?
Love Christianity. Love of the white race. And the last idea is, why should America pay to protect the world? Screw Pax Americana. Let's just do MAGA, okay? What is MAGA? MAGA is national rejuvenation.
I hope in the end he says,
let's make America great
that
again.
is what Trump is saying.
By
all,
rebuilding America's manufacturing industry.
I hope he says psych.
Don't believe what Trump says.
Exploiting
exactly. Like
infinite
I hope at the end it says that, this is assuming that Trump is a genius, but we all know that he isn't. So everything I said is completely wrong.
Okay? All right? So again, I understand Trump is an idiot. Trump has launched America into this stupid war in the Middle East. Trump has pissed off NATO. Trump has pissed off all of America's allies. So he's a retard. But if the goal was to destroy the American empire, destroy the global economy, and rebuild America for the benefit of Americans, then Trump is a genius. And he may go down in history as America's greatest president. Okay? All right. Any questions?
From who?
Yes.
Yep.
What the fuck was that? And he's teaching middle schoolers this apparently.
My first question is, you mentioned that the Donald Trump or like Putin, they think that the world, like the whole system will collapse, inevitable. But like why? Like if this Ukraine war doesn't happen, or if this Iran war won't happen, how will the world economy collapse? Like,
okay, that's a really good question. Okay, so both Putin and Trump know.
I'm not going to say that it was a bad question, but it wasn't a great question.
How do they know this? And the answer is because it's so obvious. Okay. So for the longest time,
what is just gonna happen, guys? I think it was just obvious, bro.
Started. What America did was, it basically, after World War II, it lent money to Europe and Japan so that Europe and Japan can buy manufactured goods from America. Okay, and this is good for America because it created a lot of jobs, and Americans were productive.
Wait, which dude paid me, Jenny?
But then over time, Americans became very lazy. And so they made the Europeans and the Japanese do the work, specifically Germany. And then America started to be the consumer, okay? So then America started to spend more money than it made, okay? Before, it made more money than it spent and lent this money to Europe and Japan. But then over time, this reversed itself, okay? And then what happened was that America started to shift its manufacturing to China. And so China is like, let me do all the work for you, America, and I'll do it for really cheaply, and I'll borrow money from you.
Pause this for a second.
Sorry. I'll lend you.
And to be fair, Nair, you couldn't read it anyway because his handwriting is abysmal.
Dude, this is very much like kind of Kyle Kalinske coded. Like people like him kind of say that for some reason America just stopped building stuff, and the entire money-making operation of America is based on like speculative financing and whatever, which I see the problems with the way the American economy is structured in certain sectors, but to say that like that would eventually lead to the global collapse when there's like so many things that have to go wrong for it, it's kind of sickening how many people on the left, like people who I would generally consider allies in the political spectrum, like how much they believe in this conspiracy nonsense as well. What Jiang is saying, at least in this particular, to answer this particular question, is like that not that far off from what I've heard from like Kyle Kalinske or like people like left adjacent or pure leftists who would say shit like this. Like, I don't want to name names, but like sometimes ANCOM, right, would lean to certain things like that. And I know ANCOM is way more nuanced. All the good to ANCOM. Like, I'm not shitting on it, but I'm just saying certain rhetorics that come from the left, from these sort of communist coded spheres, very much lead into like, oh, the global economic collapse was inevitable. So
I'm not going to put that on ANCOM, especially because
I'm not putting it. I completely misspoke, so I'm not gonna put this on ANCOM, right? Like, I probably shouldn't have named it. I'm just like that political sphere is very much coded into this, right? Like, who people who are believe in that kind of philosophy also believe in like, oh, a global collapse is just around the corner and things like that. And like, okay, he's tapping into that part of the sphere, so I can see how people like Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball, who don't have the brains of ANCOM, who cannot have a nuanced conversation about it, like they would just readily fall into it. Right? So, yeah, that is what I'm thinking. The problem is that I feel sad that I have to sort of politically align myself, or not align, like at least ally myself with these people in the hopes that, yeah, we can at least, at the very least, get rid of Trump's order and like fascism and shit like that.
I don't hear many people.
And don't fucking clip this. Don't put ANCOM against me. You fuck. I know these fuckers in
It's
chat
already
are gonna
clipped and
clip
shipped.
this and
it's too
yeah,
late.
they're gonna send it to ANCOM and he's gonna come after me. Fuck you guys. I love ANCOM. Okay. Don't send this shit to ANCOM and say that like saying negative about it. Like, fuck you.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this video now because I can't take anymore, and he's saying more fractally dumb things. Talking about America being lazy. Like, we're a consumer based economy and it's been working just fine for a really long time. Long since after we sent most of the manufacturing to China. Like, this is crazy talk. So, yeah, I'm done here. I'm going to watch something intentionally crazy.
In 1966, a well-known scientist released a book with information that could impact everyone on Earth. But before anyone could read it, it was classified by the CIA. We only learned about it a few years ago when it was declassified. But the CIA only released 57 pages of the original 284-page manuscript. And those pages have been, in the CIA's own words, sanitized. Now, why does the CIA think this book is so dangerous that they had to hide it from the public for 60 years and continue to hide most of it? Well, it's because the man who wrote it describes the end of the world.
Uh-oh.
In 1966, former McDonnell Douglas engineer Dr. Chan Thomas released a book called The Adam and Eve Story. Now, that title might sound like he's being cute,
I do have
but
to
he's
drop
actually being literal.
since we're no longer watching that video.
Yep.
But it was fun having you around. Fun to chat as well. I'm gonna lurk in chat for a little bit.
Hey, thanks for hanging out.
But yeah, have fun for the rest of the stream. So take care.
No, I had a blast. Hopefully catch you next time.
For sure. Anytime.
Peace.
Bye.
This book is about the end of the world as we know it.
Hey.
What's up?
Is this one of those stories where you scare the hell out of us? Can you wrap it up with a happy ending?
The
You're half right.
Oh, no. If I soil my bowl again, you gotta remember to edit that out.
They didn't know you had an accident. You just told them.
Well.
Tom?
And don't forget to clip every last thing that he said about ANCOM and how many times that we had to pause and that he dipped after saying it. So like, start that communist war.
Thomas presents evidence of a coming shift in the Earth's poles that creates a cataclysm. And Thomas says these pole shifts are cyclical, that on regular intervals, a disaster wipes out almost all human life, and we start over again in the Stone Age. He says we're actually the 6th advanced civilization to evolve on Earth. There may have been even more civilizations that have been here, but the further back you go, the harder it is to know for sure, because some of these civilizations occupied continents that no longer exist. Now, Thomas isn't the first scientist to publish this theory. In 1958, almost 10 years before the Adam and Eve story, Charles Hapgood published The Earth's Shifting Crust, which discussed the Earth crustal displacement hypothesis.
Wait, hold up.
This
Is
theory
this
says that sometimes
Hollow
the Earth
Earth
spins
stuff?
really fast and the continents are rearranged. When Hapgood proposed the idea of continental drift, it was called pseudoscience. But Hapgood had his supporters. In fact, Albert Einstein wrote the forewords for 2 of his books. Now, of course, we know that Hapgood was right. The continents do move. They drift apart and collide together over and over again, and have done so for almost 4 billion years. Pangaea was the supercontinent that broke apart to form the land masses that exist today. But before Pangaea, there was the supercontinent Gondwana, which existed for 400 million years. Before Gondwana, there was Pannotia. Before that, Rodinia, Columbia, Atlantica, Arctica, Kennerland, Ur, and Valbara. These were all
is he making this
supercontinents that
up?
eventually broke apart and reformed. After working with Einstein and a few other scientists, Charles Hapgood released the book The Path of the Pole as an update to his previous theories. In this book, Hapgood suggested that the Earth's poles are constantly moving. Again, this piece of pseudoscience was eventually proven true. Hapgood believed that a pole shift between 15 and 40 degrees occurred around 9600 BC, or 11,600 years ago.
Younger Dryas.
Younger Dryas. Now, the Piri-Reis map is something that has baffled scientists for hundreds of years. On the Piri-Reis map is the continent of Antarctica. But Antarctica wasn't discovered until 1820.
Yeah, but they had a pretty good understanding of how the land masses were formed and made a map
was right, and the Earth's axis was shifted 15 degrees from where it is
using
now.
the speculation.
Antarctica wouldn't be completely covered in ice. Hapgood believed an Ice Age civilization, long forgotten, mapped the coast thousands of years ago. Though many of Hapgood's theories have proven to be true, the Ice Age pole shift is still controversial. We do know the poles shift over time. We also know the continents drift over a very long period of time. But Dr. Chan Thomas, in his book The Adam and Eve Story, says the shift happens in less than a day. Chan Thomas describes in detail what this will be like. And it's worse than any Hollywood disaster movie
in
ever
less than a
conceived.
day. How much heat
Far worse
would come from that? There'd be so much friction.
Chan Thomas begins his book with a chapter that describes exactly what we'll experience during this pole shift event. But before we get into it, now might be a good time to hit pause and grab fresh underwear.
I've learned to listen to him when he says that.
With a rumble so low as to be inaudible, then fueling into a thundering roar, the earthquake starts. Only it's not like any earthquake in history. In California, mountains shake like ferns in a breeze. The mighty Pacific rears back and piles up into a mountain of seawater more than 2 miles high, then starts its race eastward. The wind attacks, shredding everything in supersonic bombardment. The mountain of Pacific seawater follows the wind eastward, burying Los Angeles and San Francisco as if they were but grains of sand. Across the continent, the 1,000-mile-per-hour wind wreaks unholy vengeance everywhere, mercilessly.
Now here's why there's such violent wind. The Earth spins about 1,000 miles per hour. We don't feel this because everything is spinning together. The land, the water, the atmosphere. But Thomas says that when the pole shift happens, the Earth's air and water continue to spin, but the land masses stop.
In many places, the Earth's molten sublayer breaks through and spreads a sea of white, hot liquid fire. In a fraction of a day, all vestiges of civilization are gone.
You know what, Chief?
The great cities, Los Angeles,
it probably would
San
be better than the
Francisco,
last
Chicago,
video.
Dallas, New York, Boston, are nothing but legends. Barely a stone
take
is
that
left
back, Ike.
where millions walked just a few hours ago.
Now think of what would happen if you were in a car going 1,000 miles per hour that suddenly stopped. Now think of what would happen if a large city going 1,000 miles per hour suddenly stopped. Skyscrapers would collapse. Millions of people would be thrown around like they were in a food processor. Very few people would survive that. But survivors are the unlucky ones, because moving across the country at the speed of sound is a 2-mile-high wall of water, mud, and debris.
South America finds the Andes not
Like,
high
imagine
enough
how
to stop
hot
the
it would be.
violence. In less than a day, the entire continent is burned by molten earth fire, buried under miles of violent seas, then turned into a frozen hell. Everything freezes: man, beast, plant, and mud in less than 4 hours.
When the shift happens, the land on Earth stops moving, so the sun stops moving in the sky. That means one side of the Earth is going to get really hot and the other side really cold. A temperature drop of 180 degrees. That means even the warmest parts of the planet are going to be 80 degrees below zero. Everything is frozen solid within 4 hours.
Europe cannot escape. The Alps, Pyrenees, Urals are shrunken, then heaved even higher when the wall of seawater strikes. Western Africa and the sands of the Sahara vanish. The fury marches on for 6 days. During the 6th day, the ocean starts to settle. The Bay of Bengal Basin just east of India is now at the North Pole. The Pacific Ocean just west of Peru is at the South Pole. New ice caps begin to form in the new polar areas. Greenland and Antarctica, now rotating equatorially, emerge with verdant tropical foliage.
Thomas is predicting a 90-degree shift of the Earth's axis, basically turning the planet on its side. The poles move to the equator, and the equator moves to the poles.
New York lies at the bottom of the Atlantic, covered by unbelievable amounts of mud. Of San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, and Boston, not a trace is left. The cataclysm has done its work and drives the pitiful few who survive into a new Stone Age. We join Noah, Adam and Eve, Atlantis, Mu and Olympus, and Jesus joins Osiris, Tahora, Zeus, and Vishnu.
In the first chapter of his book, Dr. Thomas paints a terrifying future. But how likely is it? In the next few chapters, Thomas goes on to not only prove his pole shift is possible, that it's happened before and will happen again very soon. In fact, there are signs that it may have already begun.
Ooh, I haven't heard about
Every
the pole
culture
shift
has
in
a
a
flood
long
myth.
time.
Abrahamic religions have Noah's flood.
Forget
The
what her
Mayans
name
have
was.
the
She was
Hudakan
talking
flood,
about
where the word hurricane
lycanthropes
comes
and
from.
other
Ancient Hawaiians have the
cryptids in
Newton
regards to a
flood.
pole
The
shift.
Sumerians wrote about a flood in Gilgamesh. Europe, Asia, Pacific Islanders, and native tribes from all over America. They all talk about a great flood that cleansed the earth so civilization could start again. Now, one myth is just folklore. 2 myths are a coincidence. 40 flood myths? This starts to look less like a myth and more like actual history. Now, on this channel, we typically associate great floods with the end of the last ice age, the Younger Dryas. And core samples provide solid evidence that this happened. But what's interesting is, Thomas said the last great flood wasn't 11,500 years ago, but 6,500 years ago. Now, in the 1960s, there was very little, if any, proof of this. But a few years ago, archaeologists found evidence of the Gunyu flood myth in China. Evidence of a great flood has been found in the Mediterranean and in the Black Sea. These discoveries put the flood between 6,500 and 7,000 years ago, more recent than the Younger Dryas, and right when Thomas says it happened. Chan Thomas provides the dates of other floods. The Younger Dryas is about 11,500 years ago. Before that, a flood 18,500 years ago. And this is exactly the time when the Bering Land Bridge went underwater. Before that, 29,000 years ago, which was the end of the Wisconsin glacial period. And before that, 43,800 years ago. But global floods aren't controversial. We know they happened. What is controversial is the claim that advanced civilizations existed before each of the floods. Mainstream archaeology and paleontology say the first civilization emerged in Mesopotamia 6,500 years ago. But what if that was just the last reboot?
Ooh, like the Batman movies?
Exactly.
The Dark Knight Rises is the best one.
Can we discuss Batman later? I'm trying to talk about the end of the world here.
Ooh, that's why I keep interrupting.
Coward. When we look at the erosion around the base of the Great Sphinx, we see patterns that were formed by running water. Vast amounts of water moving at tremendous speeds. But if this is water erosion, that means the Sphinx was created before the last flood 6,500 years ago, which is before the emergence of the Egyptian
area is
civilization.
known to flood.
Archaeologists hate that idea. And they really hate the idea that the Sphinx was built over 10,000 years ago. But there's other evidence of a cataclysmic pole shift, specifically of a great mud flood and a sunken continent.
Do you mean?
I mean Atlantis.
It's Jemima!
Chan Thomas makes some pretty extreme claims in the Adam and Eve story. Extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. In his dialogues, Plato famously introduced the world to Atlantis, the advanced utopian society that was destroyed in a cataclysm. Now, until definitive proof of Atlantis is found, it will continue to be considered a mythical land. But that won't and shouldn't stop people from looking for it. There is a geological feature in Northwest Africa called the Richat structure, also called the Eye of the Sahara. It's about the right size and shape for Atlantis. Plato described the city as concentric rings with a waterway flowing out. But even among Atlantis believers, there's debate about whether this is a man-made structure or a natural one. But what I find fascinating is near the Eye of the Sahara and all over the planet, you'll see large ripples in the landscape. Now on the ground, these look like rolling hills, but they're actually about 50 feet high, the size of a 5-story building. And they were caused by water. A lot of water.
This is one of the craziest things you'll ever see.
These ripples, repeated
Oh.
ripples in an area where there's nothing else like it.
They got the man himself.
That's what it is.
Wow. The water here, Joe, that did this, the way to visualize this is to, again, begin to think of tsunami. Here, what you have to visualize is a tsunami sweeping over the land that's over 1,000 feet deep. And it's sweeping down over this land at probably 200 or 300 million cubic feet per second, which is an inconceivable amount of water.
But Atlantis isn't the only place lost to this disaster. On the other side of the world, we have another lost continent.
On a
this
rocket.
is called the Land of Mu. Mu was described by Augustus Le Plongeon and later by James Churchward, both of whom translated very old texts from the Maya and India. Both of these cultures, on opposite sides of the world, describe a vast continent in the Pacific that reached Hawaii in the north, and as far south as Easter Island, and as far west that it almost reached the islands of Japan. James Bramwell and William Scott Elliott, both proponents of this theory, claim the continent was destroyed in a cataclysm 11,500 years ago. There's that date again. The Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan is said to be the underwater ruins of Mu. Nam Madal in Micronesia is considered to be the southern part of Mu. The site is full of structures made of enormous logs of volcanic rock. Nobody knows who built this or how, but their society was advanced. Just recently, LiDAR imaging from the air shows that at one time, Nam Madal had an artificial irrigation system that could bring fresh water to residents all over the area. The eastern part of Mu is Easter Island, and there could be evidence of a cataclysm there. On Easter Island are the Moai statues, and you've seen these. It's lots of heads, about 1,000 actually. And most people don't realize that these statues have bodies buried deep underground. So there are two options. One, whoever built the statues first dug holes, then buried 30-foot tall, 80-ton statues up to their necks, then filled in the holes. Or two, the statues were completely above ground, but at some point were buried by something. And look at Easter Island. It's a tiny island in the middle of nowhere. At one point, 12,000 people lived there. Where did they come from? Mainstream anthropology says that people from Polynesia took a canoe out thousands of miles in the middle of the Pacific and hoped for the best. But if the continent of Mu was real, then they could have just walked there. This could also explain why Polynesian languages share similarities to Greek, and maybe why on Easter Island they worshipped a sun god called Ra'ah, which is awfully close to the Egyptian sun god Ra. And the connections don't stop there. There are similarities between Greek, Egyptian, and even Indian gods, as if all these cultures intermingled
And
or
Zephyr
came
being
from a single
appropriated
source.
one more
Chan
time.
Thomas lays out some good evidence for the cyclical cataclysm theory. But the big questions are how and when will it happen? Well, you're not going to like the answer. Dr. Chan Thomas lays out a compelling argument for a coming global cataclysm. But when? Well, to answer that, we have to understand how it happens. In the story of Adam and Eve, Thomas includes a diagram showing the cross-section of the Earth and a description of the process.
The process of a cataclysm is known now. Look at the cross-section of the Earth inside the front cover. You'll see two molten layers, the orange ones. The important one is the thin molten layer starting 60 miles down, extending 60 miles deeper to 120 miles below the surface of the Earth. The thick, deep molten layer starting 1,800 miles down at the bottom of the mantle and extending 1,300 miles deeper is the outer core. Seismology has proven these two orange layers to be molten, and they are white hot, over 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Now, Dr. Thomas was able to predict seismic activity all over the world.
Inside the Earth, the electrical and magnetic structure of the interior makes the layers act as if they were near solid. As long as the magnetic and electrical structure of the Earth maintains its orderliness, it keeps rotating on axis in a normal manner. Every few thousand years, the magnetic and electrical orderliness in the shallow molten layer is disorganized, to the extent that the shallow molten layer is allowed to act as a free liquid, which then serves as a lubricant for the ice caps to pull the shell around the Earth's interior so as to have the ice caps shift about 90 degrees into the torrid zone.
When this event occurs, the layer beneath the Earth's crust turns from solid to liquid. Then the land masses can slide around freely, and the weight of the ice caps then yanks the Earth off axis.
In 1/4 to 1/2 a day, the geographic poles move to the torrid zone, and all hell lets loose.
Well, that's an understatement.
The atmosphere and the Earth's oceans don't shift with the shell. They just keep on rotating west to east, and at the equator, that speed is about 1,037 miles per hour. So while the shell shifts with the poles going to the equator, the winds and oceans continue eastward, blowing
Damn, it's
and
almost like
flooding across
Godzilla.
the Earth at supersonic speeds, inundating continents with water miles deep, destroying everything with which man has ever dealt, including himself. That's a summary of the process.
Oh, when is all this supposed to happen? I need time to get a steel-reinforced bow.
Well, Chan Thomas updated his prediction in 1993 and said the shift would happen in 7 years, around the year 2000. He mentioned that Nostradamus and Edgar Cayce made the same prediction.
Yeah, but that's over 20 years ago, which means we're due.
We're due.
We are due.
There's a lot more to the Adam and Eve story, but those are the bullet points. And if you want to read the entire
Well, if
book,
that's
there are
the
links
case, the
below.
Trump world order
So,
won't work.
Should we panic? Well, let's address a few items in the book and see how they compare with known science. But first, let's clear up a few things. I told the story based on what's in the book and in the articles and videos floating around the web. The videos aren't completely accurate. First, you'll hear that Chan Thomas is a made-up name. Because the subject matter was so explosive, he wrote the book under a pseudonym. Well, this isn't true. Dr. Chan Thomas was a real person. Chan is a nickname. His full name was Dr. Chauncey Powers Thomas. He was born in Missouri in 1920 and passed away in 1998. He was married and had children and grandchildren. He was an electrical engineer and he did work for McDonnell Douglas. He even appeared as a UFO expert in a documentary in the 90s, and he was on Johnny Carson on April 7th, 1965, with Ava Gabor.
Well, at no point in this story did I think we'd end up with
Green
Johnny
Acres.
Carson and Ava Gabor.
Dr. Thomas wrote a few books, some about the coming cataclysm. He wrote about ESP, UFOs. He wrote one book on how to teach yourself natural childbirth.
Wait, what? What does he know about childbirth? Now, I'm not a biologist, but I don't think men can...
Don't go there. Another thing you'll hear is that the book was originally 284 pages, but the CIA only released 57 of those pages.
Not true?
Nah, the original book was 57 pages. If you look at the table of contents, the conclusion begins on page 45. And some people will say the CIA is withholding documents because pages are missing, like page 8, page 18, page 20, and a few others. Well, they're missing because they're the opposite sides of title pages. In the original book, they're blank. And I could show you this. Someone has a copy.
Most awkwardly
So
written
the CIA
book.
document is the whole thing.
Oh, then why classify it?
Well, that's a bit of a mystery. What was classified was the book, an inter-office memo with a shopping list for some tools and car parts, and a folded-up article snipped from People magazine.
Well, that's pretty random.
Yeah, if I had to guess, this document was in the possession of a caseworker and it was classified just as a matter of course. In 1966, the year it was classified, Dr. Thomas was working at McDonnell Douglas on UFO and anti-gravity technology. He also worked as a project engineer at Bell Labs on a missile guidance system. Chan Thomas was known to be highly intelligent, but very eccentric. The classified documents were probably part of a background report or maybe someone just keeping an eye on him. You'll hear that the book was banned, but it wasn't. Just this one document was classified. There were copies in circulation. He also published follow-ups in 1971 and 1993, and neither was classified. As for the content of the book itself, Thomas doesn't provide any solid evidence. He makes a lot of deductions from old texts, some of which are pretty big leaps, and it seems like he's borrowing ideas from other catastrophists like Hapgood, Immanuel Velikovsky, and a few others, but he's cherry-picking his favorite parts without giving specifics. For example, his theory about the ice caps knocking the Earth off axis, well, that comes from Hapgood's first book, but after working with scientists, including Albert Einstein, Hapgood issued a follow-up book that explains how he got that wrong. But Dr. Thomas, he sticks with the story. And the liquid crust bit he talks about, he says the Earth's magnetism and electricity become disrupted. He offers no evidence or even an explanation of how it happens, just that it does. Now, there are ice core samples from the eastern part of Antarctica that show it's been covered in ice for at least 1.5 million years. Now, granted, the western side of the continent is a little trickier because it may not have always been covered in ice. But either way, we know for certain it's been down there for a long time. When Chan Thomas released an expanded version of the book in 1993, he didn't make any corrections or provide any new evidence, but he did have chapters on ESP, on UFOs, and on angels. It doesn't read as scientific at all. In fact, it's a hot mess. He jumps all over the place without a cohesive narrative. It feels like he gathered a bunch of ideas he had over the years and then threw them into one final book. So, 2 questions. Was Dr. Chan Thomas a serious researcher? No. But is there evidence to support some of his claims? There is.
Hey, at least a little bit. Broken clocks and all.
Now, I don't believe Dr. Chauncey Powers Thomas was a serious researcher. Whether he really had ESP or not, I'd rather not get into it. But some of the claims he makes in his book have been proven possible. We know that global floods have happened. The evidence is everywhere. But these floods, specifically from the Younger Dryas, were not from the oceans. They were from the rapid melting of glaciers. Still, they were destructive. They really did create tsunamis 1,000 feet high, and they really raised the sea level hundreds of feet. He says the temperature drops so much and so quickly that everything is instantly frozen solid.
So, Jack, he keeps saying we know there's been global floods. As far as I understand, there's not been a global flood. There's been multiple regional floods or like mass floods, but never a full globe encompassing flood. So tell me if that's incorrect, but I don't see any scientific data showing that there's been even one global earth covering flood.
He talks about woolly mammoths being frozen with buttercups in their mouths. Now, this is true.
Why is it not playing? There it goes.
Mammoths have been discovered that were frozen in the middle of eating. Now, it takes a long time to freeze a steak, but to flash freeze a mammoth, those conditions would have to be extreme. According to Thomas, seismic activity is one of the reasons the Earth's axis shifts. This is also true. NASA found that the big Indonesian earthquake in 2004 shifted the North Pole about 25 centimeters east, and the Earth's rotation sped up, which decreased the length of a day by 2.7 microseconds. In 2010, an earthquake in Chile did the same thing. The Earth's axis shifted and the day was shortened again. In Japan the following year, it happened again.
Is this a concern?
Not really, no. Earthquakes speed up the Earth a little bit, but the moon slows it down. Things stay pretty well balanced. The shifts aren't anything to worry about. Now, the shifting magnetic poles, that is a concern. We know the Earth's poles flip-flop. North becomes south and vice versa. And geologically speaking, it happens a lot. It's happened hundreds of times. On average, the time between shifts is about 300,000 years. But we haven't shifted in almost 800,000 years, so we're way overdue.
How do we know it flipped?
Well, because when lava cools, it creates a record of the orientation of past magnetic fields, like a tape recorder records sound.
Ooh, that's pretty cool, actually.
The poles are always moving. In the early 1990s, the North Pole was drifting about 9 miles per year, but that's been steadily increasing. In fact, GPS is updated periodically to account for this. But GPS was being updated every 5 years, then every year, and now every 6 months. The pole is now drifting at almost 40 miles per year.
Okay, thanks,
and the Earth's
Jack.
magnetic field is
2.7
weakening quickly.
microseconds.
These are signs that a
What
shift
caused
could
global
be coming. So what then? Is that the end of the world? Well, life will go on. Animals that navigate using geomagnetism will be confused, but in a generation or two, they'll figure it out. Animals that don't use magnetism probably won't notice a difference. The geologic record shows no major die-offs during pole shifts, and our species has lived through a few shifts the past 3 million years, and we're still here.
Ugh.
But
Oh no.
our ancestors didn't have satellites or GPS or planes. A lot of our technology is gonna go haywire, but code can be rewritten and software can be patched. The real danger is in between the shifts. As we approach a pole shift, the Earth's magnetic field gets tangled up and extremely weakened. This leaves us vulnerable to solar activity. Solar winds, storms, coronal mass ejections, these are bad. Without our magnetic field to protect us, satellites will get fried if they're not hardened. Rates of cancer will increase dramatically. And if you think climate change is a problem now,
Climate change is not a problem now.
yeah, it is.
Don't be a sheep.
Either way, the climate will be very unpredictable. But the biggest danger
That
is our
fish.
power grids. high enough solar activity could knock out all electricity on Earth for days or weeks, maybe months in some places. To say there will be civil unrest is a huge understatement. When Dr. Chan Thomas released his book, The Adam and Eve Story, it was dismissed as pseudoscience. But in the 50 or so years since it was published, a lot of his claims can be proven. It would seem that, in some cases, the difference between pseudoscience and real science is just time. And if just a fraction of Dr. Thomas's predictions come true, our time is running out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. My name is AJ, that's Hecklefish. This has been the Y-Files. If you had fun or learned anything, do us a favor, subscribe, share, like, comment. I know I'm a broken record, but that stuff really helps the channel. And like most topics we cover on this channel, today's topic was recommended by you. So if there's a story you'd like to see or learn more about, go to theyfiles.com/tips. And special thanks to our patrons who made this channel possible. Without you,
Without you patrons, I'd still be waiting tables at that biker bar in Queens. Don't ask.
If you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a member on Patreon or grab something from the Y-Files store. Your support keeps this crazy train going.
All aboard!
Yeah, dude does great videos.
Let's get out of here before he starts singing. Until next time, be safe, be kind, and know that you are appreciated.
No, I like that he actually gives a rundown of like what the understanding is of the realities behind the things that he's putting forward, but he'll put out the story like as is and as people believe the conspiracy theory to be, and then slowly but surely debunk it along the way, or at least the parts that he's sure of, so he doesn't, you know, say all of it's complete hogwash, but it's pretty good stuff. I'm vibing with it. But on that, it is freaking hot in here, and I am tired, so I'm going to call it a day and send y'all over to Horseradish. Thank you for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed all the pauses and the crash outs, and Z owes at least another 200 to the swear jar, and I will call it on that. Sending the raid. Appreciate y'all. Hopefully catch you this weekend, if not sooner. We will see what happens. And hopefully not a Kung Fu Joe evolution debate. I promise it won't happen. Promise. All right. Catch y'all next time. Peace.